Right, guys, today we have got Dan Bastick on. Dan, what's the Instagram handle so that people can follow you?
Don't follow me, don't bother.
Don't follow, he won't reply. Right, Dan, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do?
I thought I was here as one of the lads. I don't know what you're talking about.
Fucking
Everyone needs to know who you are.
exactly.
Tell you what though, I must admit, coming on your podcast, you're like the boys my mum said not to get involved with. I feel like you guys are going to be because everyone knows I talk the truth.
That's Riz.
He showed his mum the picture. His mum goes, "Not that packy. He's a packy. Not him. Not him. The other three are all right."
No, so I guess. Oh god, I guess in this industry I'm more known as a coach now. I have competed in the past as a junior. I've had years off purely because my step up from a junior was to get into the super heavies, and you know when you come to a super heavy, it's not just a year out, then let's go into prep again. If you want to do it properly and not stand to the side of stage, making up numbers, then it's going to take a few years out, isn't it? Is the case of it. So last competed in 2019. In that time, in my off season, I kind of built up my business, coaching business, and I've been coaching since. Really, I mean, I'm getting back on stage again at some point soon when I feel like we're ready. But when are we ever think we're ready? I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna have to go and do it.
What was last stage weight?
193.
Fucking hell.
And
What are you now? 280.
I've been 290, but I'm sitting in a health phase about 282.
Yeah, fucking hell. £100.
Hey, fucking mate, you know what? Like for a health phase as well, I go really sloppy. In a when I'm full on blast, I can't get fat anymore. It's really odd. I can't get fat. Even so, like now in a health phase, I maintain my abs year round at that weight, which is pretty decent. But I don't know what that's going to translate to on stage. Like I feel like I could shift 20 pounds and I wouldn't look any different. It feels like that because of intramuscular fullness almost.
There's always, especially at those weights, there's so much intramuscular fullness and stuff going on. There's a big chunk to come off, isn't there? I mean, even when I've been to 250, 245, 250-ish, if I just pull what's giving me the fullness, it's £10. So if you're up at the 280s or 290s, which is which is a fucking huge weight, like you said, there's going to be 15 or 20 there in there. But still, since 2019, that's a shit ton of weight, mate. Fucking hell.
Sure, yeah. Like, but everyone said, well, if your last stage was 193, what are you going to be on stage? I mean, I don't know.
It's not even worth thinking about.
I don't even know what I'm going to look like.
Does it really matter? Does it really matter what you weigh on stage anyway? If you had 3 years off, it should be fucking big time improved. Do you know what I mean?
I think so. But I was just say between you and me, but everyone watching. So I actually I am competing at some point soon, but I don't do well with a lot of people knowing. I've worked that out. I tried before whilst everyone did know, and it was a shit show of a prep that I just had to cancel because the anxiety of its expectation. Where I've had such a long off season, I think people are expecting me to step on stage and just blow everyone away. Like, guys, like, remember, like, I try and ground myself. I am only 26. Like, I'm literally, it's big weights, but in bodybuilding, it's not about weight. Like, what's that weight if my waist is blown out? You know? So my next time on stage, there's no fucking pressure because I haven't got a clue what I'm going to look like. I'm there to go, right, this is where I'm at. I finally revealed myself. Okay, let's go again off season. This is what I need to do to improve.
And usually I tend to see people that have gone up that heavy and made that much improvement tend to look better. Not the first time they died, the second time. What I've seen with people is they come down and they look way improved. Then they stay lean and go again, and it tends to be, I always think, that second time going that is the better overall package. Get it all off, go back, and then, like Andy Scott, he came down, looked good, but then he had a leaner season, and the next time he came down, it was a drastic change, as an example.
I can imagine because your body hasn't been in those unknown territories.
Yes, yeah. For me, my theory is that you'll have built up, or everybody will build up so much brown fat, internal fat, what's going on. You've got to get down and then stay lean and then get the fuck down again to get those, to bring that waist back in and really polish off the stuff that you'll have built would be my theory behind it.
Yeah, that brown adipose tissue, you need to dig hard to get that off if it's stuck around for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
If you run the melatonin really, really high. No, I'm being serious now.
You end up
Yeah.
like Riz.
Yeah, you
I
were
was
saying colours
taking,
written in it.
Some of those, do you
I'm
remember,
not.
remember that post that Dante put up and he had to remove?
I did it.
Yeah.
I did it, mate.
You really?
Because I did it, bruv. I don't give a fuck. What was it, Hilly? We were in like prep, right? And I goes, right, I'm going to build up to 60 milligram. Got my sister-in-law from States to get me loads of 10 milligram melatonin. Legit stuff. We got up to like 60, right? And I was...
I did it first and got up to about 40. And the lethargy for me never went away. Do you know when you wake up the next day? Like, I get up very early, me, and I start work early so I can see the baby later on. So I don't like anything that makes me groggy. And Dante had said it goes away after a while. I sat at 30 or 40 for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I was still feeling groggy on the morning, so I ditched it. But I didn't notice much else. And Riz, you got to 60, didn't you?
I got to 60. We held it for about 10, 20 days when D was ill, right? So I had to wake up, mate. I had to get out of bed, right? So now I was just taking drugs anyway. I'd lost it at this point. But I have found this off-season I've kept my abs and I'm the heaviest I've been. So, has it worked? Maybe it has. I don't know.
Riz, how much GH are you using?
700 I use a day.
We tried to do three in the morning. No, was it 3.5 in the morning and 3.5 at night? But I was falling asleep, bro. And then I was getting pissed off. Yeah, I was getting pissed off, bro. I was falling asleep everywhere. And then I was like, Hilly.
I was like, Riz, that's the THC gummies that you take post-workout, bro.
And then I goes, bro, getting 3.5 out at a time, I might as well just take fucking 5. Because it's just like, you know what I mean, 10 IU bottle, right? How'd you split it? Taking out 3, taking out 0.5. I was like, just do 2.5 every day. And it's cheaper, bro, and it's too expensive.
Yeah, I found with the GH side, so in this off season, I ramped up to 8 IU a day, which was like a new high for me. I found that microdosing it across the day actually staves off that lethargy all day. But don't get me wrong, when you're like, when I was at 285, and I was actually leaner body composition, but because of the muscle there, you feel lethargic all fucking day. You do. So there's that, but I found that the GH being that high wasn't any different to 4 IU. By doing it that way. When I first went there and I split it up into, I did 2 IU in the morning, 2 IU pre, 2 IU post, 2 IU pre-med. Like that, I'd be lethargic as fuck. When I started breaking it down to 1 IU pre-meal, then I'd do like only a couple of meals 2 IU. That was fine.
I think the lethargy comes from the spike in IGF, if I remember rightly from reading into it. So what you're saying would be right, Dan, in the sense that if you're microdosing it, you might be getting less of a drastic peak, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, my thought process behind it would be why I'm doing it that way as well, for the IGF spike, obviously, doing it across a day, was prior meal, like 10 minutes before a meal goes in, you're getting IGF spike anyway, because that meal is going to cause an insulin spike. It is, regardless if you use insulin or not. You always, like with me, I've got Lantus in the background anyway. Then post meal, like 2-3 IU of Nova Rapid SLIN, makes me hungry as fuck going 2 hours again into the next meal. That was my kind of thought process, and it worked a fucking treat.
How's the difference on 8 IU, Dan?
Sorry?
In terms of like physical and how you looked, how was 8 IU's a growth hormone? Was fullness ridiculous?
Did you see that change, the recent change in pictures? Or did you see the update? Remember I was posing with Romana? There was a picture of me and Romana together. That check-in, so there's a picture before that. That kind of sums it up. That's the fullest I've been at that body composition, like looking. I was so happy with that.
I was going to say, your check-in photos recently have almost come full circle. Like the difference in your physique, like the shape, how tight you are, fullness. You look like a completely different bodybuilder to when I first started following you. Like I know you've always been around this 260 to 280 mark, but the physique in itself just looks very, very different recently in your latest check-in shots. I don't know what it is, but it looked very different.
That's what I did. Like midway this year, I bumped up the GH to 8 IU.
Is that Pharma?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't be able to get that Pharma. I use Delphi.
Fuck that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like that, and There was a point in midway cycle I had some bunk test and I got bloods back and it was bunk. Then I switched over to a Delphi test and it was bang on. And then my body took away from there. It was more so I didn't see it in the mirror or the checking pictures. That I knew things weren't popping, but I just thought, things aren't just coming alive yet or something's off. But it was more so how I felt mentally. I thought, you know what, I need bloods. And it was off. So it made sense.
What was it, Dan?
Huh? I can't say because I've got
there's a lot of bad labs at the moment. Let's not say any names.
Yeah, there's everyone's fucking up at the minute. So
I think what a lot of people need to realise as well is a lot of lab owners don't do it on purpose. Yeah, they get hit with bash, they cook it, or their worker cooks it. Do you know what I mean? They just get it out. They can't test every single batch. It becomes very difficult.
You do have to bear in mind though. You can check what the compound is, and to a point by heat testing it, can you? So the melting point at a certain temperature. So I think the big labs should fucking know what they're doing. Me personally.
Yeah,
mate. If I was into that stuff, I'd be like, what's his name? The drug lord.
Janoschik, no?
No. Any of the drug lords, I'd take it so bloody seriously.
Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo.
Pablo Escobar. That's my name.
Esther. Yeah, and it seems like when I had a good run of good gear as well, in with that, because I was actually running low for a long time and didn't realise, body took away, performance took away, all-time strength. Then the bubbly side to me come out, which wasn't there before.
Where was your food, Dan? Sorry, where was your food, Dan, at that end point of that season, at the growth phase?
So baseline diet 6,000 plus probably 1,000 on top of whatever else I could eat on top.
Nice.
Did it come to the point where your food was maxed out and it was just right? I'm going to try to fit a little bit in more. That means having a few cookies.
Yeah. So how I would do it was I'd do normal diet up to meal 5. But all of those meals, I'd still put honey on them. I'd still put extra virgin olive oil. That wasn't already on the meal plan, just to bump it up another probably 200-300 calories on top. Then meal 5, I'd have pre-bed. And that meal, I'd have the normal meal. Then I'd have whatever else I could eat on top. So it'd be like 2 muffins, like blueberry muffins. It would be probably a little bit extra granola or something like that to go on the side. And by that point, I'm force feeding from meal 1 anyway, bear in mind. Then I'd sleep. Then Mana does the same thing. She'll wake up with me and we'll get another meal in. Then that meal, I'd also do the same thing again. I'd eat whatever else I could on top.
That's where the hard work is right there.
It's hard work as well, because when you get towards the end of the cycle, you know that toxicity builds up. And that's where your appetite starts to down-regulate. Like for me, this was quite a lot of drug load. It was we got up to 1.9 gram, which is a lot for me, but a gram of that was from Primo. Either way, that individuality of how much you could take without it impacting it, appetite's different for everyone. Like for me, it got up to that point towards the end of the cycle where CNS is stressed out from the strength shit I was doing as well with the drugs. Then literally for 2 weeks, I've been off the drugs, my appetite's back. And I'm eating probably like 6.1, 6.2. I could go 7 if I wanted to, but I don't need to.
I always think there's something in when you're taking a certain amount of oil over a long period of time and whatever's in the drugs to keep it suspended and whatnot. I think that over time increases the toxicity on your body and affects your appetite and all sorts.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, that's something I've never considered. But what do you think about with the amount of volume that some of these guys are putting in their body from oils, like that actually transferring as calories and making it hard to get like lean in prep?
That is calories, 100%. Because your body's still got to break it down, right? Whether that's for your mouth or somewhere else, in my opinion.
I've seen the idea or the theory mentioned before, but when I tried to read into it, trying to find something was very hard because, like what you're saying, is you put in the calories in your body technically, but if you've taken 10 ml of Primo, right, and it's olive oil, that's like what, 1,000 calories, give or take. If you've got another 10 ml. But if it's going into the muscle, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. And I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that would.
Obviously,
I don't think so.
Obviously, it's suspended in oil, so it's not methylated, but still, the liver does have to deal with that, and the liver. I don't know.
No, I couldn't find any. I even looked at it when I was at uni, and I couldn't find anything that was like, do you know, like on the subject of it, does your body get the calories from something you're injecting? And when I tried to speak to my lecturer about it, he was like, well, I don't know whether anybody looked into that, but surely somebody will have looked. I don't know. Would a medical company ever research?
I just would have thought if we're thinking of it now, somebody else must have.
That's what I thought as well.
There's a
Phil Davis was
podcast.
going mad about this last year, wasn't he, with Big Ramy using site injections, effectively saying that he was bundled loads of oil, so that's why he couldn't get in shape. Whether it's true or not is another story.
There's a podcast with Scott Stevenson, and they actually go over the topic with Skip Hill and Andrew, all them lot, right? And they talk about it, and Scott Stevenson says, well, technically, I might be wrong, I can't remember the podcast, but I'm sure he does say the body does have to still break it down. So if you're taking 5 ml of esters to make 1,000 mg, or taking 10 ml, it will still favour the 5 ml approach. Obviously, if it comes to you taking that much, your body does have to still break it down. But I might be wrong, but I'm sure he said that.
Scott Stevenson would be the person that fucking knew, like, if anybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He would just recite some study off the back of his head.
Yeah, that no one else had ever fucking heard of, but he'd know.
Yeah.
Do you think it really matters in the long run, depending on how much you're using?
No, I don't think so.
It is. When you're prepping someone, it's not about the amount of calories they're on, it's about how their body's changing. And whether you have that as a staple, you should be able to see that rate of change coming down lean. So, as a bodybuilder, the amount of gear you're taking, fair enough, that's standardised. You just manipulate everything else. And if you're on fuck all food, well, go on less than fuck all food. Do more cardio. I mean, that is what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, so simple.
So it is in your hands still, regardless of what you're injecting.
And I suppose on the flip side of it, the counter-argument would be, there was some naughty cycles posted that were run by the guys in the 90s or the 2000s. And then, like you said, Jimmy or whoever else had run crazy cycles. None of them boys had trouble getting in shape, did they really?
No. Not at all.
No.
Look at Neil Curry.
Yeah.
Absolutely hammers gear, and that can't get into shape, well,
Every
as
year.
peeled as they can be.
Yeah.
When you think about it, back in the day, you never got this high dose stuff anyway. So it would have been banging even more mils per mil.
Well, that equipoise was 50 milligram per mil, wasn't it?
Exactly. You're trying to get a gram of that in. Fuck that.
Fucking hell. Fucking big 10 mil syringes.
Bloody hell. Fucking. That's something, actually, I had a conversation with you about DECCA with regards to EQ. I've used it a couple of times. I know some people can't mentally use it. I don't think it's a no thing. I just think it's part of the drug. Anyway, but with EQ, there are a lot of people that, I personally don't prescribe it because I don't like how people's blood work comes back. But there's a lot of people that don't like it, and there's a lot of people that swear by it. What do you think, especially in the scenario of, let's say, like a bigger bodybuilder, are the risk factors higher for using EQ? Because obviously the RBC count.
My thing would be, I always say this with EQ, if you see it negatively impacts your RBC, then it's not a drug for you. And I would say that's the easy decision. For me, I've never really seen any negative side effects on my blood work from it, or anybody else's, that would counteract the benefits of it having such a drastic effect on estrogen from a low amount of oil. So, for instance, you can get equipoise that is good, that is 500 milligram per mil, some places do, because it comes as water-based. And the effect that 500 milligram has as an anti-estrogen, I think, has a huge benefit to cycles as long as it's not. So say for yourself, if your estrogen is high and you want to run higher dose of test or whatever you do, instead of taking, and if you're looking for estrogen control, instead of taking 3 or 4 mil of masteron or 5 or 6 mil of PRIMO, half a mil of equipoise might do the same thing if you're only looking at the drug for an anti-estrogen.
I've heard things that being stronger as an anti-estrogen than PRIMO masteron.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think
100%.
It's way more stronger, Dan. Way more stronger. Yeah, without a doubt. And that's what I'm saying. You can get all of the effects as an anti-estrogen you want from it by using half a mil.
I mean, with that said as well, I mean, when we're looking at the hierarchy of AIs, we're looking at letrozole, like in terms of like efficiency. Letrozole being at 95%, Arimidex 85%. Then under that, you have your DHT derivatives, your Masteron Primo. You have your Aromasin. Would you put then EQ below that in terms of effect on HDL?
Yeah, because,
Wow.
and again, I suppose it's independent, but, and we wrote about this in another podcast, Equipoise is massively dogmatised at the moment because Victor Black, or whoever he is, posted a study that was done on rabbits about fucking kidneys. But for me, it's I mean, it's a drug that's forever being used in bodybuilding. I mean, I work with AJ Sims at the moment, Cement Factory. It was on his first plan and it's on this plan. Every fucker's always used it. I've never seen any negative kidney impact from it with anybody at all. Not over any other drugs, personally, with countless amounts of blood work I've seen. But the action, the AI effect it has compared to any other injectable blows it away. And if you're not getting, if it's on par with Arimidex or Aromasin, which I would say it probably is, but you get all of the other benefits of the steroid and you get none of the effect on the lipids, it should be in every bodybuilder's arse, man, I would say, as long as you haven't got high hemocritic and whatnot. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as from my perspective, like if you're saying that could be a really good route to use it as an anti-AI.
For me, it's one of the main reasons I have it in clients' cycles, and I've said this for probably a decade. People used to say, "Oh, Equipoise is a weaker DECCA," or this or that, and I'm like, "You're all looking at this wrong. DECCA is the one that builds muscle. Equipoise should be there either alongside your other drugs to control your estrogen, maybe increase your red blood cell count a little bit, because having it at the top end of range has numerous benefits. We just don't want it high. So it has so much potential for athletes, which is why it's been abused in athletics for God knows how long, as alongside for us bodybuilders as an AI. The benefits are for me, are very, very good, as long as it's not
I think
the other ones.
Every cycle I've run down with Hilly, right, I've always got some sort of gyno. As soon as we put Equipoise in, no gyno, no nothing. And I ran test and MPP last cycle at the same dosages, which normally fuck me up when I'm using tamoxifen every day. I used no anti-E for the last 16 weeks, and I've got no gyno, and I kept the EQ in at, what was it, 300 mgs a week, which is half a mil, 0.6 mil.
Everything I do, Dan, over the last decade or so, I check on blood works. It's why my progress in my physique has always been slow. I ride things out, even though they're not working, so I can get the blood work done and see what they do. And the effect Equipoise had on my estrogen was fucking nuts compared to anything else. Nuts.
How would you compare it in terms of its anabolic action compared to like nandrolone? Like,
I wouldn't even class it as it, and that's what I'm saying. For me, I'm not even looking as the drug to have any anabolic action personally. Yeah. I don't put it in a cycle. So, say I've got someone that says they get on really well with testosterone, or someone like DECCA earlier in the year, we wanted to try a higher testosterone dose. The reason we had Equipoise in this cycle was purely to control estrogen. And then, like with someone like Rizwan and Test and DECCA, the reason that we would have the Equipoise is, and that's what I meant earlier on. We're using the Test and the DECCA for our anabolics. The Equipoise is really just like a fucking AI for me personally.
And if you compare the two, Masteron and EQ, if you're looking for something to control E2 from a performance standpoint, EQ surpasses Masteron in every single fucking way possible. So why wouldn't you opt to use that as long as it doesn't affect your RBC? But there are people, like I said to you, Dan, I've got a client, Sonny, if I put him on EQ for 4 weeks, blood pressure shoots up, headache comes in, RBC increases. But I've got other clients that run at 500, 600, 700 meg without a single issue at all. I just think it's so person dependent. So you just kind of have to, as you always do, is trial and error and understand if you're going to have to get on the Masteron route or the EQ route.
I think it's very rarely faked as well, which is a benefit, and it's very cheap. I would actually say a lot of Masteron out there is EQ. I'd honestly say that.
Probably is, but when we're talking about that performance benefit, I mean, I've always found the neuro drive from Masteron to be quite nice.
Yeah, I agree. That is one of the positives. And I suppose again, then your theory is, so this is what I do with some of my clients that either do sort of combat fighting or stuff, is picking little bits of drugs for what you want each of the purposes for. But for me, Equipoise is just something that can really, I used it for a long time in all of my prep cycles for clients. and I didn't understand the benefit of having it in there. And I used to always pull it at 4 weeks because I knew it had a longer effect. And that this is like a long time ago, and it's only been the last maybe 3 or 4 years when I don't know, was it Jordan or someone else sent me something that was on Reddit from God knows how long ago, and it was about its anti-aromatizing effects. So I was like, well, fuck this, I'm testing it on my bloods and the effect. And a lot of people, I think, use Equipoise without realising the benefit they're getting from it. So like, it's AJ, Cement Factory, like, he's one of the biggest coaches in the fucking world. His first cycle, when I sent my bloods, he was like, what are you taking? I was like, I'm not. He went, you must be, there's no way your estrogen's that low. And I was like, that's the EQ working. And he didn't put that together at all, as if he wasn't aware.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. It's a drug that I've used in the past, and actually was prescribed by Jordan when I was coached by him.
Jordan was a huge fan of it.
A while back, and I haven't used it since. I'm trying to get away from Primo. Because where drugs are going, the milligrams are going up, means the oil's going up, and 200 megamil Primo leaves me in bits. All cycle, I was inflamed. That and the DHB in there as well.
Boy, yeah, fucking hell.
But mate, I pin them separate to test, and both will leave me in bits.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to redesign a cycle in my head where I can have a little bit more longevity on a cycle in off season without.
Obviously, Dan, the beauty as well is that a lot of Equipoise is very thin. So what I had a client do in a similar sort of situation about a year over this, we were splitting his Equipoise into all of his jabs, so he was diluting his stuff with the Equipoise. Do you know, just a little bit to thin it out. It made all his jabs smoother. It's like the compound has so many benefits, and these are stupid benefits that it's like, not that people are directly looking at, but especially for someone like yourself that is at an advanced level and that's trying to manipulate everything and also longevity, like putting fucking 10, and again, I suppose it depends what you're using the Primo for, but my argument would be if you're on a growth cycle, we know Nandrolone will grow better than Primo, but then if you were kicking the Primo in there for the AI effects, you can just ditch that out and use Equipoise, and you're saving oil, money and all sorts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to have this argument in my head, trying to avoid side effects, but there are, I mean, long-term side effects. There are negative consequences whatever route you go, and it just depends what route you go, really. I mean,
Yeah.
With my cycle design, I'm particularly concerned with regards neurological health, so long-term neurological health. I see DECCA as a stupid drug. Like, it makes people stupid over time. So in the couple of past years, I've avoided, and I've rathered actually. I know Trenbolone has some studies behind it regards early onset Alzheimer's, but in lower dosages, I found myself with my memory a lot better. So within my off-season cycles, I've actually just used 100 milligrams of Trenbolone just in the background of whatever I'm doing. But I'm trying to get away from the high Primo.
So what about running high test with a low dose EQ to control the estrogen?
I mean, bang for your buck, it would be more, but I still, again, that level you've been to, I still feel like I need to fulfill that androgen load void.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's what we've done for quite a while now, isn't it, Hilly? Like, that's kind of the cycle. I don't like MPP. I hate this stuff. I don't feel great on it. It fucks on my head. I get serious performance anxiety on it when I'm training in the gym. So we opted, about a year ago now, wasn't it, Hilly? Every time in an off-season push, I'll run a minimal amount of TREN, like you said, 100 megs, 125. Not a massive amount of Primo, anything from 300 to 600, and a decent dosage of test. Like, we worked up to about 1 gram, wasn't it, last time? Yeah. And that just suits me fine. Like, again, once I find something that works, I'll just stick to it now. And as I explained to you last time, Dan, it's just escalate as I grow, and I'll just keep increasing those compounds.
And a lot of people find they just feel really good on big doses of test. I know a few older guys that were like very well known back in a long time ago, and they were like, we just run a shit ton of test and we feel fucking great on it. And Dave said the same thing. Dave said he felt great on a lot of test, and I think sometimes we can all, especially us, right? I think we can all be a bit too clever for our own good at times. Personally.
Yeah, for sure. So what I did in my last cycle was this. I did, because you reminded me with regards to tests. So what I also did is I actually took my test a little bit higher. I've never been a high test guy, never have been, but we took the test to 600 from 400. And that definitely brought a lot of fullness along with it. And I felt really good on that, minus the inflammation I was getting from training and whatever. But the test-wise, in my moods were a lot better. So it was a 600 test, 1100 Primo, 300 or 400 DHB, 100 TREN.
Nice.
But that's a cycle I'm not going to do again because it worked, but again, it debilitated me pip-wise. So with that said,
I can't stand that. Yeah,
no,
ruins my life.
Yeah, it made the process so much harder whilst I'm already chronically inflamed from the force feeding. From when you're growing, you're chronically inflamed. So what I'm considering is a mix-up between test, TREN, like I do in the background anyway, Mastron, as it will fulfill quite a lot of load, but I'm going to take the test higher and just use a little bit of EQ in the background. So test, Mastron, EQ, TREN.
I think that would be good.
Like
and
it.
Something else, Sim, is you were like-minded to me, I'm gathering, right? So AJ's had me running test base, which I've never ran before. It's always a drug that I said I would avoid, just because of the mechanisms of it. But the last few weeks, I have put in just 50 milligrams of Southern Ghost test base pre-workout, and it feels fucking outrageous.
Is that a test-based suspension?
So it's in a thin oil. It's in a thin oil, and it works. AJ is a huge fan of it. This is the second cycle he's had it in. And the first cycle I put it in, I was getting really bad lethargy crashes after the post-workout. But what I realised is he had me running fast SLIN at 5 or 6 IUs the first 3 or 4 meals of the day around training, and it was just ruining my fucking life later in the day. I was going to pull over from the gym. I was falling asleep that hard. This time we were using... I've always been a fan of Lantus for like 7 or 8 years, whenever it came out, and Levemir before then. But when I signed up with AJ, I was like, I'll just run everything the way he wants at first. Otherwise, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? That's the idea of it. But the fast SLIN, multiple times a day, those doses were just kicking my ass. But when we brought the test base back in this time, none of that. The pumps are off it in the gym. No, and this Southern Ghost one has no pip, no inflammation from the jabs. It's making my jabs less pippy.
So when you say test base, what's the ester?
There shouldn't be anyone. It should just be test, I'm presuming.
Just be test no ester, yeah.
Just test.
Oh, test no ester, of course.
Yeah, test base.
So this is actually something I spoke to, because when I was doing this powerlifting meet, I was looking into powerlifting drugs that I'd never actually used before. I spoke to you about it, didn't I? About using alone, and I'd used SUPERDROL in the past anyway. But I don't know who it was. It might have been the guy I was talking to. Was test no ester pre competition.
They love it. Powerlifters.
What's the... So there's obviously a neurological benefit to it, but what's the mechanism behind it?
I'm not sure. It's just hitting you super hard, and I take it about 50 minutes before the gym. I did my jabs on Monday without it, and then my jab Tuesday with it, and I just mixed it in because it's a thin oil, and there was less pip in my jab on Tuesday than there was on the Monday, so it's helping dilute my jabs. But the pump and the focus in the gym was remarkably noticeable.
Wow.
So it's basically hitting you like an oral, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the powerlifters, obviously, I frequent the powerlifting groups, if you like, and like Hilly said, you've got to be careful with the crash, though. A lot of them experience, obviously, they run at much higher doses than 50 meg when they're doing big pulls, big squats, or whatever. Yeah. But the crash is supposed to be pretty horrific afterwards. But like I said, at 50 megs, it's supposed to be pretty awesome for bodybuilding.
I'm not noticing anything. Yeah. And one of the reasons, Dan, that I wanted to work with AJ was he spent 2 or 3, 4 years training with Jay Cutler, and he's worked with Chad Nichols and fucking every coach that you would say is above him. So my theory was I want to learn all of his information, and this is twice now he's used it. He seems to be a big fan of it.
You only use this pre-workout?
Yes.
I'm just going to order some test base now, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Get me some.
Does it count as TRT if you use like the right amount or what?
Technically.
Yeah, I thought that might be something that you'd be interested in, that might play about with. Definitely.
Like, it's quite interesting. So the realm of actual strength-biased drugs totally new to me. And I started the Trestolone and the SUPERDROL 4 days out from that powerlifting meet, because the postal strikes, it was meant to come way before and it didn't. So I did 4 days exposure with meant, and fucking hell.
I know.
I was a crybaby, don't get me wrong. Now, aromatization is crazy, but I have never felt that strong in my life.
I had it with TREN. I didn't really get on with Halo. So me and Hilly dropped it on my last prep, and the effect that had psychologically on me, depleted as fuck, on my ass, skinned, going to the gym, was terrifying. I literally felt like I run through a fucking wall. It was nuts.
Yeah, I'm a huge TREN fan.
Just for, like, obviously listeners, TREN is methylated trenbolone.
Yes.
I've never used it myself. This is oral TREN, isn't it?
The injectable version.
It's an injectable version. Okay.
Yeah. I've run it pre-show myself a couple of times with clients, and the hardening effect it has is pretty fucking nuts, to be honest. It's very impressive.
Okay.
But the only thing that I found with it, you get a huge aggression. I've used it with some combat athletes as well. You get a huge spike in aggression. And my mates laugh about this that aren't in the bodybuilding, because it's the only thing that's ever made me come home from the gym and want to cuddle my bird because I felt really fucking depressed and sad within hours. Yeah, the psychological effect of the up and the down was fucking nuts.
Yeah, this is stuff I'm gonna have a play with next prep.
I've played with it all. It's really fun as long as you make it.
It really is. Like, you'll be hitting peak off-season numbers like 4 or 5 weeks out, but like Hilly says, when you get home, that last couple of hours, you do just want to cuddle and cry. It's like a severe come down after a sesh.
That'd be fucking beautiful, because I go cold as hell in prep.
Yeah.
The first time I ran it, I ended up having to pull it. I was doing classic a long time ago, and I had to make weight, and I put it in. And the lad I was training with, it was like, mate, you were just getting better by the fucking day. I'm like, yeah, but my fucking weight's going up. So I had to pull it. I must have been holding more glycogen in the muscle, and it was giving me a harder look, but my weight just would not come down. But the effect it has in that last 7 to 10 days is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Look, I found that actually with the men and the SUPERDROL combo, because I was sitting every check-in and fucking do with Tom. It was like I was 282, but throughout the whole week I was 284, 285. But pre-powerlifting, just 4 days or 3 days exposure or whatever it was to the men and the SUPERDROL, I was up to 288.
SUPERDROL's no joke, man.
But like what I was saying is my skin just felt like it was going to tear. Like I was so fucking lean at that weight. Just the fullness, isn't it? Pushing that.
And it really dries you out, SUPERDROL, as well, doesn't it? You don't hold much fluid on it as well. So when you're that full and that tight, it's crippling.
I used it for Nat, for the British one, for the junior. And we used that alongside Halo and Winnie. But in lower dose increments, each of them.
I've done that, yeah. It's nice.
That's a good mix of rules.
Yeah.
Do you not use...
SUPERDROL fan.
Do you not normally use an oral in the off-season, Dan?
Yeah, not usually. I did this one for this powerlifting block, but I'll only do it towards the end of the cycle in 4 weeks as a 4 weeks plateau breaker. Reason being is, again, old school mentality was to kickstart a cycle, but how I see it is you've got to carry that toxicity now throughout the whole cycle.
You see, I'm gonna run my blood work in about 3 weeks, and I ran the ANAVAR for about 24 weeks. So I want to see what it comes back at, because I remember last time I did it, it came back at 52, which is barely over the range, right? So I think a lot of it's bollocks when people talk about the toxicity of the liver and that. I don't think the studies are that good. I honestly think.
So was that your ALT?
Yeah, ALT came back at 52 last time.
See, the thing is with ALT, like Hilly will know as well, like your ALT is literally just your EVA. So it's not a clear indication of your liver toxicity or your build-up of fatty liver at all. So it's not always the best indicator, and generally elevated from training. But the fact you're down there, that low, is still kind of like, oh shit, yeah, okay. I've never seen ANAVAR as something too toxic. And you know what? I can't use Anadrol or Oxy or whatever you want to call it, but it's not as toxic as people tell you.
You see, this year on the rebound after my missus was ill and I got ill myself, Hilly wanted to use the Oxy in my off-season. You know, the rebound phase, right? I goes, I don't want to use it. It fucks me appetite. So that's why we kept using the ANAVAR. And I went, Hilly, what if we put the Oxy in just on chest days and arm days? And that way, I actually got no negative impact from it, from the appetite. And the fullness was absolutely insane that I just about kept up with these lot on leg day when I went over.
That's done. What we did is, Dan, and I got this years ago from an old podcast that not a podcast, an interview or something. Chad Nichols was on, putting in oxy before bed.
Yep.
And it seems to get rid of the appetite suppression.
I watched the same thing, and I was going to ask, did you try it?
Yeah,
we've been doing it for what?
We've been doing it. Yeah,
it works.
I've done it for a while with people that have done.
Now, and I said,
I'll only do.
Oh, carry on, Hill. Go on, mate.
No, go on, Dick. You go.
Like I went a little bit away from the plan, and I was trialing it myself. I was trialing it pre-workout in the morning, and the difference from running it pre-bed, like I said, digestion goes to shit. I get a really bloated, nasty, watery feeling across my midsection. Just don't feel comfortable at all. Took it back out, dropped it for a day or two, put it straight back in pre-bed, no issues at all, full as a fucking house. But I will say though, I love ANAVAR. I know people don't think it's great, but 50 megs of ANAVAR for me, fullness-wise, is fucking phenomenal, specifically pre-workout. Like, it really is one of my go-to orals, off-season, prep. I just really like this stuff. I think it's awesome.
I think it's really good.
I like it. I like it in prep. In off-season, if I'm going to use an oral and it's going to be towards the back end, it's going to be SUPERDROL pre-workout. It's just something I get on with tremendously.
I can't in the off-season. When food's high, like I said, my blood pressure just goes through the fucking roof, doesn't it, Hilly? I start getting nosebleeds in the shower all the time. It's a nightmare.
It's just like Dan says, the thing with SUPERDROL is it works fantastic, but once you get the 3 or 4 weeks worth of use, and I've found even if you're only using it 3 or 4 days of the week, you get the 4 weeks and it's to build up with toxicity and the hit it's having on your body and your appetite. Mm-hmm. Where what I have found is you can get away with taking the oxy 3-4 days a week before bed, and you seem to be able to run that for a while, a bit longer without the effects.
How long have you experienced that for?
8 or 9 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 times a week.
SUPERDROL when I used SUPERDROL a few years back with Hilly, right? I've never used a compound which has fucked me up so mentally, right? I grabbed D's phone and goes, right, you're cheating on me. I rang him. I must have swore at him a few times as well. And I goes, bro, I can't handle it. He goes, run your bloods. My LTs came back at 450 in 2 weeks. He said to me, he goes, you've been drinking. I go, I don't drink, I'm Muslim. He goes, no, you've been on the sesh. I goes, I ain't done anything wrong. And since then, I've never touched it again. Never. It sent my mind into a different fucking realm. Never again, bro.
It's phase dependent, isn't it? Like I was very nervous about this. Hilly put SUPERDROL in tail end towards prep last time. I was like, it's gonna fuck me up, and I feel like a bag of dicks. Mate, when I was lean, it was fucking awesome. I was full. I had no blood pressure issues. I think it just depends which phase you're at, how heavy you are, how bad the inflammation is, how bad the toxicity is. It has its place.
Well, I did run a TREN and MPP cycle at the same time, so it doesn't really help.
Yeah. I mean, what's your experience? That's something I've been delving into or researching more so is mixing up your 219 NORs. I know it can be done. It can definitely be done. It's just managing it. It can be a little bit more complicated.
I don't know anybody that I've tried it. Wiz has tried it. I've tried it with a few clients that, you know, you've got those clients that like to experiment like you do, and you know that they're sensible and whatnot, just you're not everybody else. I'm yet to find anybody that can get away with it in any ratio and that doesn't have some twisted or some negative psychological effects.
What about the prolactin?
Mine was high.
Yeah, yours was high.
Mine was high.
And I haven't seen any mad highness, but everybody reports the same psychological issues, and even at low doses. I'm yet to find anybody that felt what we would call good on it, or even normal.
Yeah, I mean, just take a 19 NOR in itself. If you're concerned about prolactin, I've always said to guys, if you run P5P, but run it 3 weeks before you actually start using an androlone or your TREN, that can really do a good job.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that would be applicable in that situation if you're trying to stave off that.
It might be worth playing about with for sure. Yeah.
Dan, what that did to me psychologically, bro, I was only using 150 MPP, 150 TREN ACE, right? 3 times a week. Really low test. And bro, I just could not focus, man. When you're just angry all the time. I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of person. I normally laugh and joke a lot, take the piss. I was just serious, man. I was just angry, like all the time. And I'm not like that. And it just set my mind into this paranoia realm, man. I can't even fucking explain it. I will never do it again.
Does anyone think it's mad that Riz is saying he's not always fucking angry? Like, he's literally angry 24/7. He's never not angry.
Thing is, that's just how I fucking talk, bro. That's how I talk.
You're like the Muslim Guy Sistanino.
He
I
is.
am.
Yeah.
I'm rarely ever angry. I'm just always laughing. Just it comes across wrong on social media.
God. I don't think whether I would be an angry person if I didn't train. I don't have the energy to. I don't know.
If I didn't train, I'd be more of a record than I used to be.
Yeah, I'm fucked. I'm fully angry 24/7. It don't help me.
I like my social life too much for me not to train.
Do you know, one thing I want to talk about, you know, you lads, we've all been coached for quite a long time, right? You know, when you're younger, and I first got Hilly as a coach, I messaged him once a week, right? And he got one check-in response. And if I ever messaged him, do you know, out of that time, and he replied back to me like a cunt, but I took it on the chin. But it's like, we're in this world where people want constant communication, and you've got to always be nice. Like, Hilly used to be a cunt to me all the time.
I'm a cunt to most people. Just in
Yeah, but
like, well, like if a client's just wasting my time and they could use Google, like I am there for advice at all times, and I'm there to answer any quick questions and problem solve with them so they can learn.
Yeah, yeah.
But like if they're just taking the piss, like I let them know about it straight away, and I manage that expectation from the get go. And realistically, it's why I turn away a lot of clients, or I say, look, I'm just not the coach for you. Specifically when I see their Instagram content, what they kind of want to do, what their goals and aspirations are, the people they like to follow, and that sort of stuff. Just because I don't want to babysit someone or hold their hand, I just want to help you achieve your goals the best way I can.
But,
You know?
bro, the way you used to... Go on, sorry, Dan.
I was just going to say, Deck, with what you know, for somebody to come to you to pay, I don't know, a lot of money for coaching per month, who is just getting started, is going to have 1,000,001 questions, it's a waste of your knowledge. They're going to the wrong coach because they're not going to be able to access what you know. Therefore, they're not getting their money's worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it says on my form when I send the clients, I am not Google. Or it used to.
Bro, back in the day,
Google.
back in the day, honestly, I would check in once a week and I knew I had about one reply to ask what I needed, and then you went and did the work. But now it's like people want this constant 24/7 bullshit.
I think it's like what Dan says, though, is right. It's the level of client. So, for instance, when I worked with Scott Stevenson 7 or 8 years ago, unless you were in prep, like the 12 weeks out, any other time your check-in was only once every 2 weeks. I'm working with AJ now, and my check-in's only every 2 weeks. But because the type of clients that they work with, they don't really need, or you shouldn't really be needing to speak to them all of the time. Now, if you've got newer clients or people in them, they want more accountability from the check-in, they want to be speaking more. Or if you're someone that is working with someone, you know, doing more experimental stuff, and you're both playing about with drugs, and you're both learning stuff or whatever else, then there's the content. But what you're on about, Riz, is I think it's just a lot of clients are hiring people to learn from them, or to have a bodybuilding friend in some cases, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, absolutely that as well. Like, I think part of having a coach now is just a cool thing to do. But not just that. A lot of these guys, the ones that want to have the constant conversation with you, they just haven't got anyone around them who's bodybuilding centric.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. So I make a clear point when I'm coaching someone that understand, like, we're here to make progress, but if you expect to have, like, I get quite close to my clients, you do anyway, but it's due to the level. So I'm in the position now where the level of client I have is fucking great. Like, they're all competitors. I don't take on anyone who's not serious now. So that shines throughout. They act how I act. Like, with Tom, like, I tell him, like, he makes me a Loom video still, but I said, Tom, fuck off. I don't want a Loom video. Just send me notes. If you've got no changes, whatever, let me just get on and go do it. I'm a busy guy.
Yeah, I couldn't be doing with that.
I like the Loom. I like the Loom.
Yeah. Riz is
Does me good. I put wigs and shit on.
I know what Dan's saying. I think because it depends on the client that you're working with. It's like, from what I gather, CARIER gives you 2-word answers back. No changes. Change this. And really, the people he's working with, that's all you want. Like, I'll send my check into AJ, and he'll just come back with a new meal plan or a change, and that's it. I told him I was going to Dubai for a holiday, or I was going to Ibiza for a wedding, and he just ignored it. He was like, I was telling him, he's like, but because the type of clients that he works with in general, you're paying him for him to control things, not to discuss your personal life, not to have chats about stuff. That's not really what it is. Whereas, like what me and Dan were saying there, for a lot of people that get coaching, they actually want somebody that's into bodybuilding to chat to talk to, you know. And I understand that, because, like, bodybuilding's way more popular now than it ever has been. But when I first did my first show, maybe 13 or 14 years ago, that's how me and John became best mates, because he was down at Loughborough further. And it was on a bodybuilding forum, because nobody in that area was into it, so you had no one to talk to. So I get that. But then from our side of things, like you said there, Dan, you're a busy guy, I'm a busy guy. I have friends in bodybuilding and I have friends outside of it. So there's only so much chat you want to have around that. I mean, I'll spend all day replying to my clients, giving them answers to any questions they have. I'm a big believer in you should be able to fully explain the reasoning behind anything you're asking a client to do. Because my opinion is, and I've said this for a long time, even if someone doesn't agree with what you're doing, if they fully understand the reason why, anecdotally, scientifically, whatever, they will be more confident being 100% in attacking it. Whereas if, and this will go for us, if you're not sure why you're doing something, doesn't matter whether you agree with it, if you can see the rhyme and reason, you'll give it 100%. Where if you don't, so I'm fully about explaining that sort of stuff. But being used as fucking Google, I'm not a fan of at all, and it really winds me fucking up, to be honest.
And I think it's the stage you're at as a coach, isn't it? Like when I was starting, I took everybody and anybody. Like that was what I was doing. But now I'm at a point now where I like to cap it at 25, 30 clients. I maintain that, and I've kept the majority of mine for the best part of 2-3 years now since I started coaching. And now I have the same relationship that me and Hilly has, like you just said, Dan, which I need a one-word reply. If they have any questions, they can come to me. And now I can manage my demographic of people that I coach and then say, look, I'm not the guy for you. Go elsewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what it is as well? With the level of client, like you get up there in the coaching, you can kind of dictate who you come in and whatnot. Yeah. They end up being very like-minded people as well. So these people, like I could go like that through my Team DB WhatsApp group, click it, ring them, and have a full-on conversation with them, or say, do you want to go out something to eat? And it'll be absolutely like I've known them all my life kind of thing. Because with the type of client you bring in, that's just how it is. Like that is literally how it is. But at the same time, these people also have respect for your time. And that's what happens when you become a higher level coach.
I think a lot of problem nowadays is you've got a lot of coaches acting fake, right, on Instagram just to get through a client. And then what happens then is they get a client that's nothing like them. Like all of my clients know I will banter, I will joke, I will rip them, I will diss them. But that's just how I am. They give it back to me. We get along. The plan works. But now you got these fucking guys, these coaching companies. They're going to offer you're going to get like 25 clients in a month, but they're all time wasters.
But it's because half of these, what a lot of people do now is they offer a Skype check-in where you get to chat for half an hour. And really they're not selling their knowledge or the service. They're selling the time you get to talk to them on the phone with. Really, that's what it is. Yeah. So, and it's like I had a client like, oh, do you do Zoom check-ins? I'm like, absolutely fucking not. I do not need to talk to you. Like I do not need to talk to you on the phone for half an hour every week. Like it's fucking absurd.
But with the clientele you bring in, if the check-in is there, but let's say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to give them a call today, have a conversation. You could do that as well.
100%. We do that all the time. Like me and Hilly just chat shit to each other all day, every day, basically. Yeah, but exactly. You get to that point where the relationship builds, where it becomes very organic. Like you said, I'm not wasting his time. He's not wasting my time. It just takes a bit of time to get to that point, doesn't it?
And like Dan says, it's the client. Like because of what I do, I have clients that have cancer or eating disorders, and then I have clients of different varieties. So the approach you take to those type of clients is completely different to the ones that you take for what we do. And that's where the time and the stuff is completely different. Whereas some people are generally just wanting to have a fucking chat about nothing, or use you as a free fucking Google, and that's the big difference, I think.
Yeah, I really resonate with what Riz said though, regards when you're lying on social media about like who you are, and it's always the same fucking thing. You see how many setups they're doing in their story, excited about this one. No, you're not. You're excited about everyone apparently. You end up bringing in a client that doesn't actually bode well your personality. And I'm getting them all come my way because they've realised like he's like me, and that's what people like. If someone can relate to you, who you really are, not the fake you, because they'll find out, they will, then that relationship just flourishes, and it does. There's trust.
We'll all get it. I have people that are like, listen, I've been following you for a while. I've seen you this, I've seen you there. I like the way you work. I like the way you phrase things, and it's what. I put it in part of my reply to people when I individually type it out. I'm like, listen, just so you know, this is the way I work. I do not sugarcoat things. I'm not here to make you feel good about messing up to keep you as a client. I don't need the client. you're going to get exactly how as I talk on videos or on whatever else is how I am as a coach. You get my 110%, but there's no sugarcoat or no bullshit. And I think the only people that get the wrong clients and the ones with a high turnover rate are the ones bullshitting like Dan says.
They get found out. They get found out. The problem is there's a recycling process. They come out and someone's in straight away.
That's what I was going to say. And it's not a flawed model, is it? It's in every single industry, just a high turnover rate. It's just some people favor that model. I favor tenure. I'd rather just keep the same client, build a relationship with them and get some decent results. But then it
just gives you more work as well, I think. Like some of my clients, the 50% of my clients have been with me for several years, and I absolutely love that. But if you're going through new clients every couple of months, you're just having to do more for them. And you don't get the results. So it's a flawed model, in my opinion. We all know you have to be working with people. For me, you end up seeing the better results with a client after the first year because you've learnt the body, you've learnt the drugs. Like me and DECCA, me and Riz are seeing more progress now than ever. That's not because they're all of a sudden working harder. I've been doing the same shit for the last decade, so my knowledge is not much different. And it's like what Deck said earlier, we now know exactly what works for his body and what doesn't, so we rinse and repeat that. And I think that, whereas these guys, they never get to that level, they never get to see the progress. All they are is a 12-week fat loss or this and that, and then the client fucks off because they're not getting anything after it.
What I was saying to a client recently was, I goes, look, you never ever actually get lean, so you can never actually push your weight up. That's the fun bit. Pushing your weight up is often the best bit where you're like, fuck, I'm eating all this food and I'm looking better, I'm getting leaner. But people never get to that stage. They don't want to work through the hard bit of graft and actually get down. They just want to look like this special magic guy, and it does not fucking happen. Like, I go through the same conversation every fucking week.
Mate, like, if every coach has the same experience, most clients, when they come to you, they need to actually go on a diet first.
Everybody.
I find that initial phase is the be-all and end-all, whether that client is for you or not. And most of them, they're like, you'll be 3 weeks in, and they're hungry, and they're not comfortable because they're hungry. And because they never fucking diet anyway, they're like, dude, are we ready to go into a growth phase yet? For what? Grow what? You've got about 5 pounds before you're too fat again.
Exactly.
What I do is, and I've done this for a while, and I've just learned it's the best way to decipher who I'm going to work with and who's not suitable. Like you said, 9 out of 10 clients that come, they could do with going on a diet anyway, no matter what. And it would do them good to reset. So the way I phrase it is, this first 8 weeks that you've paid for, we're going to run a reset phase, we're going to make sure your body is primed, it's ready, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I've got things, I put them on an upper lower split, some people full body, stuff that I know is fucking hard work and that they might not enjoy. If they knuckle down and put through, I'm like, you were for me. If after 4 weeks they're like, nah, can I go back to a body part split, or nah, I'm like, this is not going to work. If you're willing to do the hard stuff from the get-go because you trust me and you are going to make fantastic gains. If you're not, this is not going to be fun for me, so I'm not interested.
Dude, they're so contrasting because you'll get one client as well. They will reveal their flaws to you in those first 8-10 weeks, and it'll be like, "Oh mate, I stuck to the diet 100%, but we did have a Nando's, but it was only a chicken breast. I don't give a fuck whether it was a chicken breast. It wasn't on your diet." They don't get the idea of, like, it's part of me setting, watching, them responding. Then I'll get a client like one of my German clients who come to me a couple of months ago. We did a diet phase. He got proper lean, German efficiency, no fucking around, did it. And now he's up at 240, going to go probably at 280, and he's lean as fuck at it as well. That is the difference between a client that will not last and a client that will last. Yeah. It's all about that 8 to 10 weeks.
I use the old cheat meal as the indicator for me. Like, I don't mention the cheat meal for the first couple of weeks. I mention nothing. I don't breathe a word of it, and I wait. If they start asking or hinting towards it in the first 2-3 weeks, that to me, it just sums them up, paints a picture straight away.
I honestly think you can determine a client how hard they're going to work just by putting them on upper lower split, A and B workouts, and say, right, this is all you're going to do for 8 weeks. And if they can't do it, then they're not good enough for you. Upper lower is what will show you who's a man and who's not. So, I mean, in my honest opinion, it's hard fucking training.
Oh, dude, I've got this client, right? He's been on the same split since he came to me on. He came to me this time last year, and he has continued to progress. I can't say his name, but he's an ex-footballer, and he just he has this athlete mentality. He's so fucking stubborn. He trains like a beast, and he refuses to almost even let me change exercises. This will bloody progress.
Yeah.
And it's what always goes back to make me laughing a little bit. There is no really secret fancy formula. There's nothing this. The people that make the most progress are the ones that are just happy to fucking work hard all the time. And then if they are, we have the ability to make them make more progress by giving them stuff that they can just work hard with. That's the fucking simplicity of it, and the beauty of it.
Guys, I want to run through a few questions quickly, please. Is that all right?
Yes, of course it's G.
Right.
Although I must say, Dan, it's been good having you on and just chatting shit, by the way, mate. I've had a good hour so far here.
It's good, it's good. Might have to update that thumbnail.
The picture out, it makes it look weak.
Right. How and when to administer Lantus / insulin in an off season? Dan, you might as well start us off.
So for me, it depends on the advancement of the client. Again, like no matter the food, if he's a beginner client, no matter if his food's sky high, I don't think his body's been under enough exposure to stress to actually warrant as a prophylactic aid in Lantus. So again, it goes to a more intermediate advanced client, make sure they know what they're doing. Luckily, Lantus is pretty fucking stupid proof. You can't really fuck it up. But again, I purely use Lantus in the background as a prophylactic aid to kind of aid when you are using higher calorie amounts, and your pancreas could probably do with a bit of a help in that situation. So for me, starting dose 10 IU, and it will go up for me 30 IU will go up to there at the very highest. If I need to fulfill more load in terms of insulin, and it's an advanced client, I'll fulfill the rest of it from Nova Rapid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Hilly?
Excuse me. So for me, I see two uses for it. There's, as Dan says, controlling blood glucose. And again, I fully agree with Dan there. I think way too many people now are jumping on Lantus just because they eat a lot of carbs. And I had this debate with someone the other week. I was like, listen, there's athletes all over the world for the last God knows how many years been eating more carbs than we do and have no blood glucose issues at all. So why all of a sudden everybody thinks they're eating 500 or 600 grams of carbs and then you can start taking Lantus? It's just ridiculous, in my opinion. If you have a good body composition and you're eating a good amount of carbs, if you're training hard and you're doing a normal amount of steps, I don't think there's much of a stress there or a worry for your pancreas unless you're at ridiculous amounts. When you are, again, if the client is suitable for it, same as Dan, 10 IU, 15 IU. But again, there's very rare chances I'll use it daily, simply because I usually have a fair drop in rest day carbs to training day carbs. So there's usually enough cover there. Then there's the other flip side too. From my research a while ago, Lantus does have a positive effect on IGF levels. A very clever man showed me some information on. So I think that there's two sides of using Lantus. There's the blood glucose side, and then there's the side where it can help promote growth. Obviously, it helps super compensate the muscle, so it's helping your body run more efficiently. You're getting more effectiveness from it, and it may affect the anabolic load to it, or help your body grow muscle more efficiently. So then I might use it on a client that doesn't need it for blood glucose control, but to help bring up weak body parts. When we're having a high carb day, I'm not particularly using it to control blood glucose, and I'm using it to support growth.
Is that are they using a bit of GH in the background as well?
Yes, most would be, yeah. But even so on its own, I think that, yes, Lantus has a great effect at controlling blood glucose and whatnot, but I think if you use it, even if you're not using growth, if it allows you to super compensate a muscle more, if it allows you to load more glycogen, you will be able to train more effectively and you'll have a better session. So I do feel that it has a side role of being able to enhance a lagging body part, for instance.
Yeah.
I think, Dan, this year, we normally put the Lantus in when my food's very high, right? This year, Hilly put it in after we finished my push-up, right? To then bridge that gap until we then push up again. But I may took in a small dosage, right? I think that's a really good way because it is benefiting me a lot at the moment.
Yeah. You know what? I know a lot of guys, what I see is they wait till they're fat to go. I see it the worst thing possible. Just sort your fatness out and then you can reset. I like the combo of high food, lean body composition, Lantus and GH in the background. That's optimal for me. If you're fat, Lantus
nothing works.
You. It's not going
to. That's what I was going to say. That's where I use it. I use it as like a defense mechanism, if that makes sense. So like I said, it would be for an advanced client.
but I tailor it with GH as food's getting higher. If it's looking like visibly they're starting to need it, obviously as well as blood glucose, I'll implement it then. But like you said, I like to introduce it on high days alone and then work backwards as in when it's needed, if that makes sense. I'll start introducing it on more and more days. Same as Hilly. Obviously, we have very similar methods, if that makes sense. I run rest days extremely low as well in food just to reset a little bit and manage blood glucose. But on the other side of that as well, for an advanced client and they've got a little spare cash, if we increase GH into higher dosages, I'll implement Lantus then, obviously for obvious reasons, because that's where you're going to see a spike in blood glucose. And the two, for me, skinny white boy genetics that I have, those two, Lantus and GH for me, were absolute game changers. I've never been able to hold fullness, specifically overnight. It's just something I don't do. The second I implemented that, it changed my physique for the better, 100%.
Just covering what you said there, Deck, yeah? I know a lot of people like to put Lantus in when your fasted blood glucose is high, right? But often, a lot of the time, like Hilly will probably agree, it's not high because you're going to become a diabetic. It's because you're taking fucking growth.
Yeah.
I was waking up at fucking 7, right? I'm saying, Hilly, bro, my diet's perfect, mate. I'm doing everything to the T. He goes, GH, pulled it out, it dropped down to 4 within 2 days. So a lot of people, they just chuck it in when they don't really need to. They're not checking all the blood glucose between every meal, because I was waking at 7, but every meal I was 4.5. So I didn't really need to add it in at that point.
What dosage were you running at, Riz? GH,
Hey?
what dosage was your GH to spike that up to 7 in it fasted?
Bro, we were taking 2.5.
Really?
That and were you doing your blood glucose literally fasted and nothing?
Literally wake up, piss, and straight away.
Yeah, so your blood glucose could be elevated via stress of dehydration. You've been
You reckon?
Yeah, all night. If you haven't drunk water, that's a form of stress, and blood glucose is extremely responsive to stress.
Yeah.
Try
We'll
it.
see,
Do
we'll
it,
see,
then do it.
I seen that from Dr. Dean. He
Yeah.
was saying run like salt water in the morning, wasn't it? Have some salt, some fluid, and then.
But bro, sometimes it was 7. I tracked it every single day, mate. I went Joe Jeffrey on this shit. Some days it was 4.8, sometimes it was 5. Hilly was like, yo, you're coming with fucking too much data. I was like, bro, I'm 7, I'm a 6, I'm a 5. After my high day, I'd be fucking lower. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And I'm thinking it's a GH fake. But it was all fine, but my body's very, very weird, man. And I piss a lot at night as well.
I saw a noticeable difference as well. Is when I pulled GH out pre-bed. Like I favour GH pre-workout, so AM fasted and then pre-workout. That like few hours difference made a massive difference to my fasted blood glucose with GH for sure.
Because when you inject GH, it causes your liver to kick out glucose anyway, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
if you were taking real GH, your blood glucose in general will be elevated from the mechanism of the drug.
There you go. What's your thoughts on, example what I've done. I've gone into a health phase, and obviously I've not got the androgen load I had before, but I've actually kicked up my Lantus to 30 IU and maintained my 8 IU growth. I've replaced the stimulus from losing another. All right, it's not going to be equal to an all, but I'm retaining.
Definitely, yeah. It's literally what we're doing now.
We've always done that.
Yeah, we always, and it's your thought pattern will be the same as what the reason I do it is. They used to do it a very long time ago, but the Lantus wasn't available then. So what the old guys used to do is they'd have, obviously when they were on cycle, they'd be taking the cycle, and when they were off, they'd be doing higher doses of SLIN and GH. And the idea was you're using different mechanisms to still. I'm a huge fan of trying to make sure you're never taking a step back, and you're always taking at least one step forward. So so Riz is an example because he's doing it now. We only use Lantus on his odd high days. So then what I said is now we've dropped to a cruise. Let's put the Lantus in every training day, and that's going to increase fullness, so you're not going to see the drop, which is going to allow better training. There's different pathways being played out. We could have increased the GH as well, or kept it where it is, or like you've done, Dan. And I think that exactly what you're saying, if you've got other drugs that you can use or manipulate to different pathways to keep progress moving, then why would you not?
Have you ever seen anybody go hypoglycemic from Lantus?
Yeah.
Yes, me.
You're talking to him. Yeah.
So I had one yesterday.
It's a weird hypo as well because it's not as drastic. Like you don't notice it coming. When me and Hilly were on prep, we were running Lantus on my high days, and it caught me like really bad. Like I could barely see by the time I got home, and I was driving as well. But effectively, obviously, where we were running the high days, I would train do my post-workout cardio. In that 2-hour time frame, bang, blood glucose in its ass. I was full-blown hypo on it. So I had to take my meal then with me to the gym. I'd finish my cardio, eat it, then go home.
It kept happening to Jordan. Jordan was hypo and he was like, Hilly, what's this? Because Jordan didn't take Lantus for a long time. He was like, Hilly, talk me through this. You're a fan of it. And he was getting the same. What I've found recently is AJ's up my Lantus to 20, but he's increased my carb portions. But what AJ does on his high days, personally, it's not something I would do, but it's working. His high days are super low fat. There's nothing added to them at all, right? So my meal one is, at the moment, is 150 grams of cream of rice with either isolate or egg whites and sultanas or something. So I have 20 IU of Lantus and then I have that. If I don't eat in exactly 2 hours, I'm hypo. And the same thing happens after my second meal. My second meal is the same, and if I don't have my pre-workout carbs, then I'm hypo again just from my Lantus. But what that makes sense. But that to me is just my pancreas is still doing the job with the carbs I'm eating, and then the Lantus is kicking everything out as well. So it makes sense that's going to happen to me.
Yeah. So early on this year, I did a diet phase with Cal, and we forgot Lantus was in there. We didn't really take for account. I probably didn't need it at that point because it was on fucking nothing. And I repeatedly, between meals, like later on in the day, 4, 5, and 6, was going hypo constantly. Like I'd control it with a meal, then literally 20 minutes later, I'm sweating, shaking again. So I had to compound meals in it. Got to the point where I actually had to add food. Then I really super compensated before bed to make sure nothing happened. And fucking, what do you know? Again, in the night, the only way I realised is because Manu saw us sweating and started licking my sweat off my face.
Yeah, man.
Fuck
That's why we love dogs. That's why we love dogs.
Fucking mate.
Technically, Lantus is a 24-hour insulin, but when you look into it, it really only has an active time frame of 12 hours, which is why they brought out Tresiba, the new one, that has a full 20. Yeah, so Lantus is meant to be a 24-hour insulin, but its main active time frame, I believe, only really lasts for 12 hours. But it is still, without a doubt, I think, kicking about in the background, and it will catch you out, like you said, Dan. If you, as an add-on to this, have you played about with Tresiba at all?
No.
No, I've got something to try. I just haven't got around to playing about with it yet.
It's not got the same IG effect, has it?
No, but again, when we're all, if the reason Lantus was favoured over Levemir initially was because there was a really clever guy who owned this private bodybuilding forum, and remember that Brew, do you know, who created all the peptides?
Yeah.
He had his own private forum, and he put some stuff up that Lantus on its own has an effect on IGF levels, which is why everybody initially favoured it over Levemir. So Tresiba, if that happens, Tresiba wouldn't have the same effect. But for us using it for blood glucose control, Tresiba would technically make more sense because it's acting for a longer period of time for us. So say, Dan, you're up at 1,000 grams of carbs a day in your really heavy phase. Lantus is only really having that strong action for 12 hours. But if you're on 1,000 grams of carbs, you need it all of the time. So that's where the Tresiba might, I think, for those in that stage, might have a bit more benefit effect. I just haven't fucked about with it yet.
Could you not just go split your Lantus dose?
You certainly could, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
The IGF.
Yeah, if that's happening, yeah. But I just mean if we're just looking for blood glucose control, then because my mum's been prescribed Tresiba, that's why I've got it. I just haven't got my play with it yet.
I've got a question for you lads, especially with SLIN. So, and it's more anecdotal. Let's move away from the science. What do you think is favourable or better for fullness? So let's just say you were to run 5 IUs of rapid with every meal, which totals 30 IU by the end of the day, or 30 IUs of Lantus. Do you think there is a difference in fullness? And the reason I ask is I have a strong opinion on this, and I just want to know it's specifically just me.
Right.
Go, Dan.
So, from my own experience, so when I've tried this, I've only had Lantus in the background, okay? But what I can say is an instant, for me, it feels like a super compensation effect when I'm running fast slim with that meal. I am full as fuck. So I'm going to go on the side of Nova Rapid.
Hilly?
I've never personally ran that sort of dose of slim with meals during the day, so I can't give an exact I can't. I know that I do feel fuller if I'm using Lantus with insulin pre and post. But I've also never taken them to, I think I've never taken my Lantus past 25 or 30 IU, and I've never taken my pre and post past 7 or 8.
What I was doing towards the end of that last blast, when I was leading up to that deadlift, because my appetite really fucking crashed. Tom doesn't know this either that I was doing it, because we had 20 IU and Lantus in there. Then with every meal I put in 5 IU of fast-acting SLIN.
To make you hungry?
Yes, literally. And I still wasn't hungry, but when you've got no ghrelin output whatsoever, you're literally relying on, it's not appetite, it's you're going shaky. So you got to eat no matter what. You're not hungry, you're just going shaky. So you don't want to eat, but you fucking have to, and that's going to force you to eat. That's what I was doing. That's how I experimented with it.
That's a very old school method, that is, as well. It does work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's scary because a lot of people, because they haven't got the appetite drive there, they would just go, oh, fuck, I fucking can't eat. To me, I've got to eat, otherwise I'm kind of hypo. So
to finally answer that thing, I do personally think, just from my own experience with Lantus, I do think that if you kept driving it up, that you may experience better fullness from a really, really high dose of Lantus. I've got a feeling, but I've never personally tried it.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is obviously recently, as Riz knows, I ran out of Lantus, and the drop off in fullness like scared the shit out of me. Like I couldn't believe it. The second I put it back in again, and it's obviously on my high days, which is around 20 IUs of Lantus, the difference is not even comparable. Like I don't even look like the same bodybuilder. It's crazy. So I just wonder what your guys' opinion was, because like I said, I dabbled with the Rapid to see if I can make up with that instead of the Lantus, and I didn't get the pop. I didn't get the fullness from it whatsoever.
I think with the Lantus, you get this accumulative effect through the day.
Compounds. Yeah.
With the Nova Rapid, it just hits you so fucking hard, yeah? When I was using it pre and post, bro, I used to be so full. Then you wake up mega flat. I think
AJ had me doing my high days initially. I think it was 4, 4, 4 and 4 fast. And I did not feel as full then as I do now off 20, 4 pre and 4 post.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if, my thinking is what Riz is saying there, with the Lantus, you were constantly super compensating. Every hour of the day, it's constantly making you push glycogen into the muscle. So, if the taps, I always use basic analogies, I'm not one for complicated words. I just think if you've got that tap open a little bit more 24/7 and you have a lot of food, the muscle has no chance ever. Whereas obviously with the fast, there's periods where the tap's turned much more off, shall we say. So I would be interested to just see if you kept pushing the Lantus up. I think the fullness would be fucking nuts, to be honest.
But Deck, if you're pushing the Lantus up right, and you keep pushing it up and you get into the stage where you're not getting that same effect, then simply you'd put a bit of metformin in and then make, as Hilly would say, you make the tap fucking bigger, right? And allows more water to flow. That would work technically.
It's possibly.
On paper, do you know what I mean?
Do you find you get a bigger drop off of when you run out of Lantus and you can't use it anymore, or when you take GH out, you run out of GH?
Yeah, massively, huge.
What, to Lantus or GH?
I think I get a bigger drop off from the Lantus when I pull that completely out than I do from the GH. Like the GH is noticeable, and I think it depends on the brand. Obviously, I run generics as well, and I favour the ones that are drier, hold less fluid. And I think because of that, I don't notice the drop off as much.
GH?
Yeah.
What do you mean drier? GH is GH.
Well, as an example, so let's say and I'll give 2 examples here. You know that 2K Trompin stuff that was floating around? Did you see that? The red and white packets. But with that, I hold a lot of fluid. The one Gen X as well, I hold a little bit more fluid. But like the Helix stuff, I get mental intramuscular fullness, but 0 sub-Q water, like nothing.
This is very true. Because both those brands I held fluid, but the Adelphi, I just feel full as hell, and it's like not filmed over.
And I'm pretty sure they're the same manufacturers as well, like the Adelphi, Helix.
It does seem to be a real thing. So I think there's the 2 ways to look at it as well. Do you remember the Meditrope GH?
Yeah.
Oh, that used to blow me up.
I held a lot of water off that, but it was all seemed to be intramuscular. Then there was another one that we were using that didn't. But there was a really well-known pro bodybuilder, I can't think who it was now. He was adamant, and he was using there. He said he would use a certain farmer-grade brand of growth in the off-season and a certain farmer-grade brand of growth in prep, because he was adamant that one made him hold more water than the other. And he said that's quite a common thing.
Yeah.
I would have no reason as to why.
Why not just use the one that holds less water year round? Surely in off season especially.
Oh, it's only when I run out. That's the only time I have to switch to the watery ones, if you like, or the ones that I don't get on as well. I would always favour the Helix stuff if I can get all of it. But as anyone knows, the stock just dries up so fucking quick. I was buying all the kits at one point.
I was presuming this guy was wanting the water effect for leverage and shit in his training. I can see that. I wouldn't do it. I would think that it wouldn't make any sense. I would always want anything that made me hold the least water as possible.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
But then I suppose that's because you were 280 or 290. I suppose if you've got a kid that's 220 or 230, they might want the fullness and the leverage.
Yeah, if you're like me and 180 pounds and you use the fullness one. Guys, some quick questions. Keep it simple. How to manage the Christmas festive period? I don't have to manage it. I'm alright. You lot can answer that.
Oh, bro, I fucking hate this question.
Fuck's sake.
We've got a Christmas tree. We've got a Christmas tree downstairs this year because of D.
Okay, so
Mate, you're doing better than me. Like, Mana doesn't really do decorations and stuff, so I bought a box of Quality Street, just put it in the middle table.
It was done.
well, I've been getting grief off Charlotte every day because the postal strikes. Our new Christmas tree hasn't turned up. She's fucking livid.
We've got the LED one that goes on the wall. Easy, right?
So the reason that I suggested this question, right, wasn't as in a basic what you should eat on Christmas Day. I'm going to do a video on the Instagram for my clients specifically to say, in my opinion, when you're at our level or when you're working with a coach, what do you do? What do you tell your guys to do at Christmas? Was my idea. Was my
okay.
idea.
Okay, cool.
So for me, what I say to clients is, and what I will be doing this year is, I'm not anybody's dad or anybody's boss. It's not my job to dictate what people do on Christmas Day. So it is very much their decision, and I think there's way too much of, should you be just having one meal off? Should you be on your plan? Should you be this? My opinion on all of this, because I just see lots. Come December, everybody's putting videos on of how you should handle your Christmas Day, how to be best for your body. And I think unless you're a super, and even if, to be honest, even if you're at a fucking super high level, right, I generally think that Christmas Day is your Christmas Day. If you celebrate Christmas, you should just take the day to do what the fuck you want. If you want to eat all your meals good, if you want to go to the gym, if you want to just take the day off, take the day fucking off. I don't think that it should be this thing of how to control your Christmas Day and how to do this. So I thought that was more of a relevant thing of looking at it, not of how to manage your Christmas Day better. It's a fucking day.
To me, it depends who I'm surrounded by. And this year, it's just me, Mana, and we'll probably go out for a dog walk with our close friends in the morning. Like, me and Mana will probably be eating our normal meals up until we're going out for dinner in the evening. And we'll probably eat some shit in the evening and get baked. Simple as that. But again, if I was at home, I would probably just join in with my family, do what they're doing.
Exactly. That's
Like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just a case of kind of do what you want to do. And let's be realistic, 99.99% of top tier pros will be going absolutely balls to the wall and eating fucking everything. The only people that realistically won't are the people that are a bit over anal about anything. But I say the same thing to my clients. I do, and I always kind of prescribe this, is to stay active, go out for a walk if you can, get a gym session in if you can, make sure you're moving the food around, don't just sit there eating Quality Street from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But ultimately, we're freaks 350 days of the year, aren't we? So spend a day with your family, eat some good food, just don't take the piss a little bit. Don't be too greedy. I think that's the main thing.
Exactly.
Mate, even if I said, like, go do a food challenge, you can't get fat in a day.
No.
Surely not. Yeah. All I'm going to tell my clients, I'm probably actually, for the week of, like, Christmas, around that period, I say, look, there's no point doing check-ins because you're going to check in with me. I'm not going to be able to set instructions because you're going to be doing what you want anyway. And when you come back, I'm just going to tell you,
Get back on plan.
Get back on plan. So there's no point. You might as well take the rest.
I take that. Yeah, sorry then. I take that week from Christmas. Now I've got the baby as well. Now I've got my little girl. I take Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. That week, there's no check-ins. There's no need to check in because I spent a long time just saying to people, just get back on, man. And I'm like, why am I even wasting my time here? Like, and like what Dan said there, last year was the first year with the baby, but the year before, Charlotte works at the hospital. She was at work. I got up and did some work I had to do. I went to the barber's because my barber doesn't celebrate Christmas. Then I went to see my mum. Then I went and got pissed with my mates on the night. This year will be different because I've got the baby. It's Christmas Day. Like, you should nobody, and it's only because of my eating disorders background and stuff that I always try and broach these topics with common sense. And it's the reason that I thought it was good for us four to chat is because us four are quite very serious people within this sport. And I knew that I was pretty sure that all of your opinions would be the same as mine. Is that there is no need to be that fucking anal. And I think if we have that opinion, it would be good for a lot of other people to see that they don't have to be fucking anal about it as well.
I was going to say, if you're anything like me, like fucking give me a free reign on Christmas Day, I'm losing 10 pounds.
Oh, not me, mate. I'm gaining 30. You have never seen anything like it. He'll be like, Deck, what have you done? It's the third year in a row. Go and do some fucking cardio.
Deck, have you got an insatiable appetite?
Mate, you have no idea. I am the biggest fat cunt.
I'm so jealous. Like you're like Nat. So you know, my junior, he can eat whatever you put in front of him. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I can't.
Hilly took me and Deck to Nando's is a big mistake. Big mistake.
Yeah.
No, I think to be honest, yeah, if you're Jewish like Deck, you're not really going to celebrate Christmas, so that's all right. Now, listen, guys. Most of my clients are not Christian, right? They are like Muslim, Sikh, and Hindu, right? But they do have the day off as well because it's the only time of day. It's the only time of the year where everyone's off work. So that's what I always have it off. I don't celebrate. I don't go to church, but we do something at home, and I always will because it's family time. You're not going to get that time back.
Riz, do you like sit down and like watch Elf, or is it like?
Nah, bro. Nah, you racist bastard. Now, bro, we watch The Snowman. Me and my brother watch The Snowman. That's it.
Oh, it's a film.
It doesn't snow in the Middle East.
Say that again. What did he say? I didn't know Gypsy did Christmas. This is quite a good question. This is one that's been coming up a lot recently. Best pieces of kit in the gym.
I'm such a kit.
Let's just say you have to pick 5 pieces of kit, and that's the only kit you're going to use for the foreseeable future.
Just before we kick off with this question, Dan, can you explain to us how you had the Kuwait version of home gyms? Like, what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how did you have the maddest gym in the world at home?
Right, so nothing happened. It's still there.
Oh, wicked.
Did you start collecting kit from like 10?
Yes.
Nice.
No, literally. So what happened was my old man, he got a line of kit that was all from all old Sporties. You know, the big blocky pieces, Sporties. Yeah. He started with that, and we had it in this old like barn, cold as fuck in there, and I got interested in weightlifting around that time anyway. Always been a bit of an enthusiast.
So was your dad into the gym?
Yeah, so my dad, he was like fully into bodybuilding. He used to go to Costa Rica, the pharmacies, fill his suitcase, bring it back, sell it in the gym. He used to pay for the holiday.
How much Primo did he run at his highest dose?
This is all fictional for the viewers. His dad didn't do anything. It's all lies.
Yeah, so I was conceived on DECCA.
Now it makes sense.
No, so seriously, before I get into the gym stuff, I had a conversation with Dave about this earlier today, and there's some legit studies talking about children conceived from steroid usage.
I've been reading up on this myself.
Yeah, so you'll find out a lot of those children are far more outgoing, but they're risk takers, which makes a lot of sense, and they're very smart. But the problem is with that is directing them in the right. They need to, otherwise they can be very destructive in ways. Makes a lot of sense, to be fair, but vice versa. Is it like a product of your upbringing? Because my dad is a risk taker, and maybe I just caught that from him. I don't know, but
it would be an interesting thing to study, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Well, I was reading up on the studies, and it's basically it stated that the propensity for the child to build muscle tissue from a sperm donor that has used anabolic steroids was much higher than someone hadn't before. Like, I was reading into it, it's a bit mental. Like, it was a very deep study, and it wasn't a big study. There was like 5 people it was tested on, and they basically, it kind of concluded in the sense of using anabolics change your complete DNA makeup when you reproduce.
I read this as well.
Yes, we've got 3 older brothers that were not conceived on steroid usage, and they all went to the gym apart from Chris. Chris was a motocrosser, so he didn't really weight train, but the other 2 did. I had the ability to get a lot bigger, a lot faster. Just whole structures are different. Those 2 were never suited for bodybuilders. Mine is when I was 16, I had cat delts.
I tell you what would be, and I tell you what, and this may be absolutely nothing to do with this at all, but Aralina, so my daughter's like 13, 14 months now, and there was 4 or 5 of my mates, we all had kids around the same time, and there's a few others as well. There's 2 or 3 of their kids still looks like what you would class as babies. Aralina is up, walking about, climbing and shit, as if she was a 2-year-old. The way she moves, the way she walks, the way she socializes with people is like, but again, like what you were saying there, I don't know if we took her to Dubai when she was 4 months old. So she was out in the sun all the time around lots of very nice people that were giving her loads of attention. And she's because of my job, she's been in different environments more. So does that have something to do with it? But we had, how mad's this? We had a parents' evening at nursery the other day. Who the fuck does parents' evenings for 1-year-olds, right? But they were like, we're moving her rooms because the way she behaves here compared to the other kids her age are 2 completely different things. Completely different. Yeah. They're still crawling about. They're just starting to get the balance, and she's running around the room doing fucking laps.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind it, or at least what I've kind of summarized from looking at studies, is it's not so much change in DNA, it's just a stronger expression.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
It amplifies what's already there, basically, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
Well, it's just funny because, like I said, there's 5 or 6 all the same age as Aralina, one a couple of months older, and she is up, communicating, moving much more than most of the others, if not all of the others. Like, and it's drastically noticeable. Yeah. Like some of some are either still crawling or they're just starting to find the balance, and she's literally fucking. She was climbing up the slide earlier, then she stood at the top of it, turning around doing twizzles, and she's 13 fucking months. And it's like, what are you even doing, kid? You know what I mean? But she knows where stuff is. She wants to grab stuff. She's pointing at the fridge. I'm like, you're fucking 13 months old. What do you mean? And then she's going, if she doesn't want something. Tonight I tried to give her a tea, and she would not let me give her it. She would not pick it up. She had to hold the spoon while she put the spoon in her mouth with the food. She's fucking 13 months old. No, I don't think that's fucking normal.
Saying she's sociable is like the understatement of the century. We took her to fucking Nando's, mate, and she was running around and talking to everybody else but us. Like, literally, just waving at everyone, pointing at their food, running across the fucking place. It's nuts.
But she is. And everybody comments on it at nursery. They're like, as soon as that door opens, she's over to the door. She's waving at whoever it is. She's off everywhere. And it might be so much of, but can't be how much of the environment if she's fucking 14 months, can it?
No, there's not enough exposure there.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, actually.
The obvious one is steroid users are more likely to have females.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It is. I
say that to my wife all the time.
That is apparently, I read the research a long time ago, that people who use steroids have more Y chromosomes than X chromosomes, is it, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Jim, so my dad started collecting that stuff. And then I got very interested in it, and it got to a point where he said, "Well, this is what you've got, make something of it." And I kind of, just being around the gym scene and being around what I was around over the years since then, it started off with selling one piece for a higher amount at which you bought it, getting the money, buying another piece, in, out, money when I wasn't really earning money, and that's how I was doing it. It took fucking years. Then I started obviously earning my own money and I could start paying for pieces. And now I have an addiction. Yeah, so but a lot of my stuff I've got like absolute bargains, and people would cry. Found out like my Cybex 45-degree leg press, unicorn, won't find one anywhere. How much do you think I got that for?
$2 grand, 1,500 quid.
I was gonna say $2,000. Yeah.
Well, you won't even get one for $2,000 because you'd have to pay 6 for mine. I mean, I got it for 500 quid.
Fuck. Do you know, I was going to say 500 quid just to pull a number out of the air, yeah.
What, did the person not have a clue about what he had?
So it was during lockdown, gym was shutting down, Eastern European guys, and there was a bunch of kit there. On the eBay, they had one piece for sale, and I saw in the background 45-degree leg press, and I knew it was a Cybex one, just by the shape of the frame, and first gen, original Dorian one. So I went there, acting I wanted that piece, but I said, got anything else to sell? We'd do a bit of a, wholesale all together. And he goes, yeah, whatever, anything here. And I said, all right, what about that row? Yeah, have that as well. I go, okay, well, if I'm getting 2, I could fit another one on the back of the trailer. About that leg press. And he goes, yeah, all right, I'll do that for, I don't know, what do you think? I said, I don't know, looks a little bit crooked. 500?
You're going to help that, mate.
I ended up leaving with just the leg press. What knows? Like my 2 Strive pieces, 400 quid a piece. Strive shoulder press, Strive flat press that goes to a low incline. Can't find them anymore. Nostalgic unicorns.
I like the Strive stuff.
Yeah, the Gym 80 stuff, like heavy duty stuff as well. The original Gym 80, so Gym 80 seated ham, Gym 80 lat pull down, Gym 80 toe press. What else have we got? I think that's it. That stuff, like the seated ham, 300 quid.
Cheap, innit? Yeah.
Probably one of the best seated ham curls I've ever used.
I even do it now. If you scan like that fake Facebook marketplace, there is some absolutely ridiculous.
I do it all the time.
Don't have a clue what they're selling.
Yeah. So
sorry, Riz. Anyway, back to your question. Do you want to repeat it? Or we'll let Dan go first.
Dan, 5 pieces of kit that you're going to train with the rest of your life, mate.
Fucking hell. So I'm such a gym kit nerd. So if we're covering all body parts, I have to go body part to body part. Let's say for a compound leg exercise, I'd probably go to 45-degree Cybex leg press, to be fair. Because if my knees are acting up, I can always use it. Because if I've got a hack squat, like I would love a hack squat, don't get me wrong, but you can't use that single leg. Unilateral, at least with leg press, you go unilateral, you can go dual leg, you can adjust the height of the back, etc. Yeah, so I'll go Cybex 45-degree leg press. Then let's say for chest, so I'd actually probably use a dumbbell because I could do everything.
That's an answer, yeah?
Yeah, I'd use a barbell do a hip hinge, like a RDL probably, or a stiff. I think an RDL probably owes more because you can get more achieved if I'm limited. Then it would be obvious answer to a Smith machine, but I really, really like the Strive overhead press. Just the loading curves change everything. Yeah. Or the Magnum, either or, both is good. And then I've got one more. I don't really know. I don't know. Paramount Pendulum, one of my favourite pieces.
That's good. Yeah, that's a brilliant piece.
Because if I'm just thinking, if my lower back's jacked in, I can get away with using that.
Yeah, that probably happens when you pull 400k from the floor for fun.
From the floor.
Yeah. So I've actually, I don't know the actual muscle what it's called, but I've got a tear.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Mate, so this is a story on its own. So for 3 or 4 days after that deadlift, I had hiccups. So I knew my CNS was fried and something was pressing on the pharetic nerve. But I also had really bad lower back pain, right side, but it like radiated from the glute. It was almost like felt like piriformis syndrome or something like that. And it eventually went. It went. I thought, oh, sweet, I'm good. The next week, I got on a hack squat. 2 working sets in there. Great. No pain, couldn't even feel it. rest day. Then the next day, someone knocks at the door, delivery, shot up out my chair like I would here, and it locked up. So what I found out is, look, even if you've got a tear, doesn't mean that it's ready to go because it feels good. It's more so the fibers are obviously meant to be like this, and you're actually like that for now. So you're always going to have a weakness there until that fully heals. So that's really what I haven't been able to do. I didn't give it enough space to heal over. So legs today, that's why I went to the grow room, used a horizontal leg press, not vertically loading.
What brand was that? What brand they got the hammer strength from?
Hammer one in it. Yeah.
Yeah, hammer's good. There's a gym down the road that's just got the Rogers.
Yeah, I like that. Rogers hip press is my favourite one. I prefer that.
I've never used it.
Really
You
like
prefer it?
Yeah. It's just easier to initially lift it off. You know, the hammer's quite deep, isn't it? And it's quite difficult to push out initially. The Rogers a bit further out, so I get a better contraction with it. Have
you used the True Squat?
Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, I used it at the Olympia gym in Dubai. Absolutely fucking ruined my life.
I used it down at that gym this week as well. And with my lower back, I thought, oh, this is not going to feel good at all. For some reason, I got away with it.
Yeah, it's awesome because it pins your back against that. It just loads your quads horrifically. I actually buckled under it after like 2 reps at the one in the Olympia gym. I was sat on my ass stuck in the bottom of the machine. They had to help me up.
Yeah.
I've been using that piece of kit made by that company called PRIMO, which is not a big, massive brand. Doing that squat machine.
True. Their pad actually moves a little bit.
Yeah.
The pad moves, and you can actually hold the handle at the front as well while you squat. Yeah, it's probably got to be my favorite squat piece at the moment. It's absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what? Like, I would diss Primal so much because there's no culture behind it whatsoever, and some of the loading are totally off. But they've got some gems. Like,
they've got some really good kit, bro.
They've got a nice high back rail. It's like it's got a weird grip on it. Yeah.
We've got that. Yeah.
I've got it. I haven't unpacked it though. It's all in the box.
You on about the one with the bar? Danny changed the hands across.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Go on then, Riz. What's your 5 favourite bits of kit?
If I had to pick 5 pieces, honestly, I'd pick a pull down. Yeah. An old Nautilus pull down. Simple,
A nitro.
Yeah, I like them. They're nice.
Plate loaded or pin?
Pin loaded.
It's not even.
No. Plate. Plate loaded pull down. The that one. You know which one? The single arm.
Yeah.
I'd pick that. I'd pick a pendulum. I would pick.
What pendulum?
I really like the Atlantis one. People slate it, but I think it's all right.
Yeah, it's just you can
it's
load
quite light. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite. I've always found it really nice. There's one that's at my gym here in Tayfum's Powerhouse, but it's not branded. That one's really good. And there's one in a gym called Cinder Hill in Nottingham. And fucking hell, I've never used a more heavier pendulum. I put on like a plate and I was fucked. No one used to use it. He made it himself.
That unbranded one, does it look like the Paramount in terms of angle?
I think a lot of people copied that, didn't they?
Yes.
It's XTR.
It's very, very similar, yeah.
Heavy
as
as
black,
shit.
Chinese, yeah.
There's a company called XTR that do almost like rebranding of original pieces of kit. It's XTR. If it's the same angle, has the counterbalance on the other side.
That's it.
Yeah. What I really like is the Cybex Eagle leg extension. A lot of people slate it. I think it's really good where you just pick up the rod and it drops exactly where you want. That's a nice piece of kit. I would actually pick, honestly, if I had to, that pull down, that Nautilus pull down with the plates, one that Future Fitness had. There's a chest press that Prime do, the old Strive piece with the 3 pins on it. That one's brilliant. I'd pick a normal pull down as in a cable machine. I'd get everything done on that. And I'd actually pick a bouted squat as well. Because on the bouted squat, I can do the squat, I can attach a handle to it, do an RDL on it as well. And if you really put a bench top, you can do a back row as well. So that'd be me pretty much sorted.
Bruce, did you remember you would have used it, I've got it, the Flex Fitness leg extension. You used it at Future Fitness.
The one that's all on one bar?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fucking bad boy.
Yeah, that's better than Eagle, surely.
That is, but I didn't use it that much, bro. When I was training, but I never used it that much. I really like the Cybex, the Eagle stuff is really nice. And I don't do full ROM, so for me, the Cybex Eagle is nice.
Okay.
What about you, Hilly?
Mine's no good because I can't do half the shit, can I? With having no pec and 2 slip discs. My training's fucking dog shit, so there's no point in me picking stuff up. I don't load my back at all. I can't do any chest pressing at all, so I just take a fucking set of cables and I'm good.
I'll go the Cybex converging press for chest, and I'll also add another chest machine, the hoist incline, because it's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, that's wicked, actually. That's proper wicked.
I'll go life fitness leg extension.
Where have you used?
Durham.
Anthpel's got it at Durham, but I used all of the hoist pieces in Olympia Gym in Sharjah. By the way, if you ever go to Dubai, this gym is fucking ridiculous. Imagine every piece of nerd kit you could think of refurbished, so it's brand new, and it's just lined out row after row after row of machine. Then I'd use a life fitness leg extension because I love that thing, a life fitness chest supported row, and then I would do a Cybex. No, I wouldn't. And do you know what? I hate this brand.
What Techno Gym?
No, what's the terrible brand that they make awful kit that nothing ever fits?
Precore.
No, Dean White's in his gym.
Oh, Watson.
Watson, dog shit.
Watson Smith machine, because I love the fact it's got no counterweight and it's heavy as fucking shit. And the bar is really thin, which I'm like because I've got very girly hands.
You use the original Cybex?
Yeah, I think, is that the one that got the grow root, the one that got set on fire? With quite a thick bar? Quite a thick bar?
No, it's a normal. Oh, no.
Maybe not, no.
No.
But yeah, that's what I'd probably pick. But I love the hoist kit, and the conversion old like 80s flex flat press is phenomenal.
Yeah, so I just got the hoist chin and dip. I had the offer of having the shoulder press, but I said no because I've already got 3. But
The hoist stuff is really, really good. I was really impressed with that chest press though at Deck. Really impressed.
Ant's got a fair bit of it in his gym where I train. The hoist pull down, or the overhand pull down, is outrageous. The way the seat moves and that. Ben Chow got it in his place in America. It is one of the best fucking pieces of pull down kit I had ever used in my life. And the chest press is good. I think the seated bicep one is fucking shite.
Yeah, you don't like it.
It's got no bottom. No, you can't go all the way down on the range of motion. It's very awkward. It's not nice at all. But the pull down and the chest press is fantastic with all this stuff.
Because it's similar to the free motion stuff, and I really like that because they've got the full set of free motion stuff at that Olympia gym, so they have all of it.
That
the
stuff's
shoulder
good.
press, the chest press, the bicep curl. They're all really nice bits of kit.
Do you know what? A lot of people, they rip Life Fitness, yeah?
I love
Honestly, some of their kit is unbreakable and it's cheap. You can get a £500, you can get that really nice pin-loaded chest press, which I absolutely love.
I've got the Life Fitness line ham. Lovely.
Yeah, really good piece of kit.
And then
I like their seated ham as well, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
So do I.
Yeah.
The chest supported row that they have is the best chest supported row I've ever used. I know it's such a basic piece of kit, but I don't know why the ergonomics of it just fit the way that I row so well.
Is that the one with the curved handles?
Yeah, with the funny little handle that shifts up and down a tiny little bit. Like it's got a leg. Love that thing. It's not very heavy though, so you've got to use a gym pin.
Right, so favourite chest supported T-bar row?
Do you know what? I like the one at the grow room, and I think it's a non-branded. Do you know the red one? I like the angle of it.
I haven't used it yet. So
I think it's I'm pretty sure it's a copy, but it's just a really nice angle that I can stand not on the foot pad, on the floor, and I can get a decent ROM off it. I like it.
Okay, Riz, you'll know when I say Gym 80.
Bro.
Unreal.
Bro, there's a lot of good laying T-bars, yeah? But I don't use any anymore. And now Jim's got the Watson one, which is a very good piece of kit. I don't like that movement.
Okay.
I do not like the movement.
The Gym 80 is amazing, but it operates similar to, I've actually got the Watson chest supported T-bar, one of the rare Watson ones I actually like. That's also very nice. Not the one with the movable D handles.
That's what we've got.
Nah, the one with the stuck handles. Yeah. The old original Watson was good.
I'm a big fan of a chest supported T-bar, just purely because I can't do any standing rows because of my back.
I got
So
chocolate
my
back as
workouts are based around that.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
You remember?
Oh, are you on about this one, bro? I know which one you're on about now, Dan.
The one that was in Future.
Yeah, I just Googled it. Yes, I know which one.
Yeah,
that was good.
I picked up a chest supported pin loaded. It's like an adjustable D handle row, similar to some of the stuff that's coming out now by Nautilus, and I think Prime do one as well. Old 90s brand. I can't remember the fucking name of it.
Because they're all starting to copy. Arsenal Strength did one fairly recently, didn't they? And the Humbler, they call it, and everyone just copied it. If you use that piece of kit,
Humbler. The original Humbler was the pendulum.
No, he's on about this new piece.
No, it's a chest supported D handle like type row that Arsenal Strength do. I used it at that stupid gym for the Bastick in Dubai. I forgot what it's called. The really expensive one. It's like £80 a day pack. No, the other one. The one with all the white in like Prime kit. You know the one? The Rob Taylor and Darren Farrell were training all the time. I can't remember its fucking name.
That is that Nabus that gym you just said.
It's not Banus, it's another one, but it's really expensive. But I used it in there. My God, I thought I'd try and row like 4 plates on it. I ended up doing 1.
Oh, is it the one? It's you're right bent over on a row, and the bar's like beneath you. It's almost like a seal row.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly that.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I didn't like it.
They've got it at Muscleworks.
Oh, they?
Orpington.
I've never been to Muscleworks.
I've never been either.
Riz will go.
I tell you what's two good bits of kit. You use them when we train legs. The Nautilus lying hamstring curl.
That's good.
Yeah. You get a real good peak contraction off that.
Is that where the pad? It's in the centre column.
Yes, yeah, that's the one, and it's a bit of like a negative angle to start with.
It's an angle, yeah.
I put it at a grow room. I just used it.
Yeah,
I'm very impressed with that, and it must be the angle of the pads, but the connection I get on that's off it.
They had
don't try and tell Riz to contract on it because he will beat you up.
I don't contract. I can't, bruv. The hamstrings are right there from the side. There was one piece in that. There's a gym called Cinder Hill in Nottingham, right? And the guy's he's open for like 25 years, mate. Millions and millions of medals in the fucking thing. Old school kit. He's got this Live Fitness standing hamco that you swap. You actually press the button to swap over the legs.
Just swap the leg round. Yeah, I love that.
That's a wicked machine.
Are you sure that's Live Fitness?
Is it Live Fitness? Is it not?
That original piece come from Flex.
Maybe it is then.
Was it a white bit of kit, or it was?
It's white. Yeah. It's white, and this one's got.
You pull the side out and it flicks round.
It flicks, and you swap your legs over.
I start all my hand days with that. You know Adrian pretty well, don't you, Dan? Adrian owns Alpha Neon, sorry.
Reasonably, yeah.
He's got his own little gym up in Cirencester, and he's got some mad old school kit in there. It's literally a fucking dungeon, but he's got some really cool pieces in there.
Yeah, we've nerded out about it. But that piece you're talking about flicks over. So that original piece was Flex Fitness. It come out.
Is it Flex Fitness then? Okay, cool.
Then Cyvex since have made a version of it as well because they got it down at Progress Gym in Yeovil.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't seem to favour that movement, but I start all my hand days with a standing hand curl.
The hammer strength one's not bad, you know. Do you remember that one, Dan? They used to have it in Apollo Gym in Coventry.
Yeah, the MTS.
That was good. Yeah, I like that.
The plate loaded one's alright, but the pin loaded one, obviously the leverage is consistent throughout.
Yeah, that one's nice.
Something that not many people know as well is, you know how some brands buy out other brands to have their kind of, I guess, their model ingenuity. So obviously Strive was bought out by Prime, but Flex Fitness is no longer a company anymore. That was bought out by Star Trek. So if you look at the original Star Trek pieces that just came about as they took over, that lying hamco, fucking hell, best lying hamco I've ever used, Star Trek. They've got it at Lacoste Gym in Cambridge.
Lacoste.
There's one leg extension they got at this gym yet. I'm sure it's a Nautilus leg extension, right? And it's a plate loaded on either side of your feet. And that's probably the hardest leg extension I've ever used in my life. I've never seen one in any other gym.
I just can't
Except
get
for
on
that
with
Jim and
plate-loaded
Knox.
leg extensions. I think it's like a psychological thing. I just don't fucking like them. I don't like the prime piece. I don't know why.
I think the weight stays consistent, bro. I don't know why.
Maybe.
Is that piece, is it boxed in? Is it quite a boxy frame?
It's very square, yeah.
Yeah,
And the
it's
seat,
original Nautilus.
the seat actually comes. It's not very straight. It's a little bit back.
Is the seat you actually sit on as well decline back a little bit as well?
Yeah, that's the one.
yes,
It's heavy
yes,
as shit
yeah,
as well.
yeah, heavy as fuck.
Yeah. Literally just used it. They got it at Grow Room.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
wicked piece of kit.
Yeah, that's good. Fucking hell. No doubt of a gym kit will go.
Do you not want to rapid fire some quick questions that they've asked on the Instagram?
Yeah, go on.
Bang a couple off quick, go on, before it's my bedtime.
Yeah, I've got banana.
What are you talking about, mate? It's fucking. It's 1 o'clock here.
I forget your hours ahead.
Yeah, mate. I'm fucking
Where are you?
in South Africa.
Why?
Oh, I traffic humans back and sell into Riz a lot in Coventry.
Yes. Even though I live in Derby now, you bastard. same thing.
Part of one of the business I work for is out here, so I spend about 6 months of the year out here doing a bit of work.
This is a question, and I think it's quite relevant actually. Beef collagen protein seems really popular now. Saw a post by Strom saying it has a DIASS value of 0, meaning it's useless. I totally disagree. So trying to ask, is beef protein any good?
Let's break it down. Has it got a full essential amino acid profile?
No.
No.
Well, it's probably not going to be as good as something that has a full profile. If you've got a full chain, then you make up a complete protein that can activate MPS.
Can you just add the leucine in though? That it's missing.
Well, why would you buy a protein? You have to add 2 in.
Well, if you're a vegan like Hilly and you can't have whey proteins.
Is this asking about beef isolate or is it beef collagen? Is that something?
Oh, okay. I'm talking about beef isolate. Is he talking about what's beef collagen then?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, is it the same thing? I don't know.
Fuck knows.
I'm talking about beef isolate then.
Well, I think a few of them now, they're adding, it literally states does it on the tub, including leucine, some of them, and I think they're becoming very popular due to the flavour. Is it CMP that are doing the stupid flavours now? And I think I've had a few clients switch to it, and like we discussed, I think on one of the last podcasts, after a couple of weeks, people's digestion just seems to go to shit. I don't know if it's the flavour in, if it's the beef protein.
I was using the beef isolate by NXT, yeah, because it was halal, and I had a bit of an issue last year on my stomach, right, and that was really good. I made great progress. I got to 215 on that, so I don't think it's shit.
Well, nothing, in my opinion, nothing's shit. Like, let's standardize everything. Everything has a full essential amino acid profile, and everything's going to trigger MPS. It all comes down to the individual and their digestion. It's like the same with carbs. In my opinion, like an intra-workout carb, there's no carb better than the other. It just depends on
what you digest. Yeah.
Well, except for that nasty shit. What's the really thick one?
Vitago's well nice.
Bruh, nah, fuck that shit, mate. It's like drinking fucking syrup.
Bro, waxy maize is nice as well.
Waxy maize is awful.
I like waxy maize. It's nice and cheap.
Whatever your reason is going to be for isolate, I don't know much about it, but let's say, for example, it's lactose free and you're lactose intolerant and you can tolerate, then that's a better option for you.
Yeah.
Find something with lactose in it. But saying that, most isolates now are pretty low lactose. So
See, I've used the beef isolate on and off for years purely because even an isolate slows my bowel movements down. I can't just get away with anything. And I've never noticed any offset from using a beef isolate, personally. But that's purely for me. I can't get away with using anything with milk. So I now mainly use Jordan's vegan one, but when I'm in an off-season like this, because vegan protein powders is a thick, trying to have more than one a day is just no good when your food's high. It's very hard. Ideal when you're dieting, but a thick protein powder is no good when you're in gaining phase.
Yeah.
that's what I mean. You're just picking a line with
To suit your environment. Yeah.
What feed you're in, yep.
It's the beef isolate. I'm sure per gram yields the highest amount of protein when it comes to them isolate beef proteins. They're very high. Like each scoop's like 35 grams of protein.
And the beef isolate should have a full range of amino acids, the same as anything else, I would presume.
Yeah.
But that, when I saw that question, I didn't know whether they were meaning something else.
Yeah,
Maybe.
the collagen, yeah.
Because there's loads of collagen supplements out now, aren't there? So not that I get into any of that. But
So when it comes to collagen, the highest purity is meant to be marine collagen. That's according to what because I've looked at it according to like joint health and stuff, trying to improve that. It's been marine collagen is generally the go-to apparently. But yeah.
This is a good question, right? And it's obviously taking the piss by Johnny. He goes, why don't you like single arm pull downs? They build massive backs. Just want to clear something with a lot of people, right? Yeah. Listen, when I criticize people using D handles, it's because they've got 1 kilo on the fucking pin, right? If you've got half a stack on and you're pulling it, then of course it's going to work. But saying to people that you're doing 2 kilo on the fucking stack is going to create progress. It's not. Anyone can get the fucking lat short. It does not mean you're going to grow your back. You're better off going and loading the exercise and doing a fucking normal pull down. This whole single arm thing has become a fucking joke. I see it all the time.
I feel like people think that we are very anti these movements, and believe it or not, I'm not. I think there is a place for them, but I just don't think the majority of idiots that use them. This is my problem. It was one of the main reasons. It was like my last moment at the grow room was when I saw a personal trainer had 3 pins down on a leg extension and then double band it for a client. And I was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And I think I'm for these movements, and I think there is a time and a place for them. Like, I will do a single arm row at times to target my lower lats, specifically at the start of a back sessions where I can get my lat extremely short. I always do that, and then I'll go into my heavier compounds. The problem is people are making their full session, or the majority of the session, full of this nonsense shit, which does not, and it's not going to build as much muscle as your bread and butter movements. Whether you think I'm a meathead or not, it's not going to do it.
No, agreed. It's literally everything's tools is how you use it and how it's interpreted. For the listeners, like, why would you go for a single arm over a dual arm lat pull down, for example, to isolate the lat? It's because generally your scapula is going to want to move with you when you're doing dual arm, and it's just a way of eliminating that fact. But agreed. So within my training program for myself, I'll always start out with a lat bias exercise that's going to isolate the area. Then I can move on to my more compounds. Even when I was doing this deadlift prep, I was starting off with like a single arm movement to turn the lat on. Then I go deadlift, and funny enough, when I go and deadlift, I transfer all that load into my lats by bracing.
Here, one of the worst things I see at the moment, which runs in line with this, do you know, like a standing hammer strength row, where you've got the pad in front of you and you can sit on it and do overhand, but you can do one arm out.
I know what you're going to say. Go on.
So I like to put a D handle on that, right? And the person who likes to post it the most is a hypertrophy coach, so you can align up properly, right? I'm a huge fan of doing it. What I keep seeing in the gym over and over again now is, though, right? So people will put a D handle on it, put loads of weight on it, and then they use 2 arms to pull it past the first part of the motion, which is the heaviest part. Yep. And then they're working in this really short end range. And I'm seeing lasses do it and lads do it. I'm like, why are you using 2 arms to pull the heaviest part of the movement? So then you can just pull it in the easy part of the end range. Like,
aiming for the lower lat. Aiming for the lower lat.
I'm like, why are you, if you are using 2 arms to lift it when it's heavy, so then you can just move it when it's light, does that not let you know that you're doing it wrong? Like, why would you work in the light part of the fucking range of motion? It's like, what the fuck?
So similarly, I didn't expect you to say that, actually. I thought you were going to say, I swear, when people are using that hammer strength piece, they're getting further and further away from the machine.
Yeah,
they're like, So,
that's because they do.
Because the way the plates move on the leverage.
That's it. That's the same thing.
It actually comes, the weight actually comes towards you at the end. Because it's so far off.
Yeah.
That's it. So they just, I saw some lass in Flex the other day. She had like 3 plates on it, and I'm like, what you doing there, like? But she used 2 arms to lift it past where it's heavy.
Hand on the pad.
You said there. So like what you said. So she's starting when the weight's at the top. So then she's just pulling the weight down. So it's dead light. I'm like, why are you taking away all of the hard work? Like, I just fucking.
Is it not important to train your lat through the lengthened as well? Is it like?
Yeah.
Fucking
Fucking unbelievable.
This is the last question, right, guys? It's very simple. Opinions on 1 meal a day diet plan. Is it healthy? What are the pros and cons?
Spasticated.
Yes, thank you very much.
What's healthy? What's healthy is, it's a bit of a stupid idea, but what's healthy?
The only time I could see that ever being beneficial is to somebody that's 40 or 50-year-old and that has a busy lifestyle schedule and that likes to fast during the day and then have a big meal on the evening, and that, you know, doesn't eat a lot of food, and that likes just like, and that would purely be because it fits their lifestyle, nothing to do with training or health. I see no benefits.
Assuming this question has come from a bodybuilder, like, good luck trying to get your total calorie requirements in a single meal if you're trying to grow muscle. Like, it's never going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
Your digestion's going to go to shit and you're going to shit yourself an hour later. Like, it's not going to happen.
Like, I do Ramadan every year, right? This year I'm doing it again. And tell you straight, Hilly, what do we have, like 7 hours to eat? And I still fit in 4 or 5 meals, right? And I'm telling you right now, it is not comfortable one bit. Like, you're drinking aminos, next minute you're in the gym, next minute you're drinking your intras, and everything's liquidized. I can't even do it liquidized. So how you'd get all your meals in one
I would pay good money
meal?
though to watch Dan eat his 6,000 calories in one meal. It'd be good entertainment.
On clean food, it's not possible.
No.
Surely anybody that's in a remotely physique focused anything would know that 1 meal a day is of no use to anybody. The only person for me that would be asking that question is someone that is looking at it from a scheduling benefit.
Yeah.
Or if you're very lazy and you've seen someone do it on Instagram for one day, and then you then assume every other big guy does that.
I think as well, like, going to the obvious is why we do our meals in bursts over the days, for obviously for that MPS benefit that you're going to get from each sitting. But what's overlooked is your sodium intake. So splitting up your sodium intake across the day to bias performance.
Yes, guys, just want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching the podcast and supporting the channel. Please, can you like, comment, and subscribe? We'd always appreciate that. If you want to follow any of the guys on the podcast in today's episode, then please follow the links or these little names here, the tags. You'll see them about here. That's all the Instagram handles for all the guests on today's episode. Guys, anything you want to see, please feel free to comment, DM me, DM any of the other lads, and we can get that covered. Thank you again. Let's get to 500 subs and we might do a little giveaway.